Chapter 46:34. Lin Feng's spiritual force couldn't wait to invade the jade tube. He wanted to see what kind of domineering aura cultivation technique was recorded in the jade tube. Grand apocalyptic domineering aura. When Lin Feng's spiritual force invaded it, he immediately sensed the contents inside. This shocked Lin Feng, because the word Grand Supreme was too extraordinary. Moreover, Lin Feng thought of Grand Supreme, one of the oldest and most powerful Khanate life forms in this era. He was also one of the most mysterious Khanate life forms. There were countless mysterious colors on him, and outsiders felt that everything about him was extremely strange. Of course, Grand Supreme also had a legacy. In the past, the Grand Supreme Immortal Sect in the Nine States Great World was a legacy passed down by Grand Supreme. Grand Supreme's legacy was one of the strongest in this era. Each of his legacies could be said to be heaven-defying. Now, this domineering aura was actually called Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura. It was no wonder that Lin Feng would think of Grand Supreme. This was an expert who had schemed for eternity. Back then, he had stunned several great eras. In the end, he disappeared silently. It was unknown whether he had fallen or hidden. Lin Feng's spiritual force continued to probe the Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura. Just as Lin Feng had guessed, the Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura was created by Grand Supreme. It was an acquired domineering aura, and it was actually the highest level of purple domineering aura. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. Purple domineering aura was generally awakened innately. It was not easy to condense purple domineering aura after birth, but Grand Supreme had done it. From this, it could be seen how terrifying Grand Supreme was back then. Lin Feng's spiritual force withdrew. The Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura was very heaven-defying, but to cultivate it successfully, it still lacked a necessary condition: the acquired domineering aura cultivation technique, Tyrant Stone. None of them could be missing. Now, Lin Feng had obtained the cultivation technique of the Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura, but he hadn't obtained Tyrant Stone yet. The probability of finding Tyrant Stone was not lower than the probability of finding the Grand Apocalyptic Domineering Aura. But finding Tyrant Stone couldn't be rushed. It depended on luck. What's the third item? Lin Feng looked at the ancient book, which had already turned yellow. Could it be a powerful divine ability inheritance? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. If that was the case, then that would be great. This was because cultivating these powerful divine abilities, or immortal sutras, was equivalent to increasing one's own accumulation. In this way, although he wouldn't make a breakthrough in his realm, however, his combat strength would be greatly improved. Therefore, Lin Feng was naturally looking forward to it. Sun Tianzhou smiled and said, "Open it and take a look." Lin Feng nodded. He opened the yellowed ancient book, the Tao of Time. Lin Feng looked at the 3 words on the front page of the website. His body suddenly trembled. The Great Path of Time. It was actually the Great Path of Time. In truth, Lin Feng had obtained a series of Time Tao techniques from the Saint Devil Emperor. After Lin Feng finished cultivating those techniques, he discovered that they weren't the true Great Path of Time. Instead, they were some foundational techniques. Back then, Lin Feng had cultivated those techniques and gained some understanding of the Great Path of Time. If he cultivated the Great Path of Time now, it wouldn't take too long for Lin Feng to successfully cultivate the Great Path of Time. Sun Tianzhou smiled and said, "With young friend's comprehension ability, you should be able to comprehend the Great Path recorded inside. Of course, it might be difficult to comprehend it now, but as long as you persevere, you will definitely be able to comprehend it. If young friend can comprehend the Great Path recorded inside, it will be of great help to you." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Pavilion Master, thank you for your concern." When Elder sees you, please send my regards to you. Sun Tianzhou smiled and said, Of course. Lin Feng asked, May I know what I need to do next? Sun Tianzhou said, I don't have anything for you at the moment. However, if there is a mission for you, someone will inform you. Lin Feng and Sun Tianzhou chatted for another 2 hours before Sun Tianzhou left. He still had important matters to attend to, so he couldn't stay for too long. Lin Feng didn't leave. This was because Lin Feng planned to successfully cultivate the Great Path of Time. The Great Path of Time was simply too attractive to him. Lin Feng entered the Great Path of Time. He began to comprehend the Great Path of Time. Every great path had different inheritances, and the Great Path of Time was naturally the same. Since Lin Feng had cultivated the Great Path of Time, his foundation was quite good. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't spend too much time cultivating the Great Path of Time recorded in the ancient book. Lin Feng cultivated for a year in the Great Path of Time, but only a little more than a month had passed in the real world. After successfully cultivating the Great Path of Time, Lin Feng planned to leave. He wanted to go to the weak water region to take a look. Back then, Lin Feng had obtained the Bracelet of Misfortune from the weak water goddess. The Bracelet of Misfortune was rumored to be the weak water ancient god's treasure. Later, the weak water ancient god was sent into the endless weak water sea. She would never be reincarnated. The bracelet was soaked in the weak water sea's water day and night, causing the aura of misfortune to surround it. From then on, it became the Bracelet of Misfortune. After Lin Feng obtained the Bracelet of Misfortune, he wanted to throw it away, but he found that he couldn't. Every time Lin Feng threw away the Bracelet of Misfortune, the Bracelet of Misfortune would automatically appear in Lin Feng's storage ring. Lin Feng felt that the Bracelet of Misfortune was intertwined with his fate. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that his fate was entangled with the aura of misfortune. So sometimes Lin Feng thought of the several terrible curses that he had been afflicted with. Was it related to the Bracelet of Misfortune? Everything in this world has a cause and effect cycle. So Lin Feng's guess was reasonable. But no matter whether these curses were related to the Bracelet of Misfortune or not, the aura of misfortune that was entangled in his fate must be resolved. This was equivalent to a time bomb. Who knows when it will explode? Therefore, the matter of resolving the aura of misfortune was a rather urgent matter for Lin Feng. In addition, Lin Feng was also very curious about the legendary weak water goddess. Weak water, one of the ancient gods, was originally the owner of the endless weak water. But later, weak water fell in love with a man, and that man was transformed from a heavenly demon. As an ancient god, weak water was bewitched by the heavenly demon, causing the endless weak water sea to be tainted with the aura of the heavenly demon. Because of this matter, the gods were enraged. So the gods united. They displayed heaven-defying magical power. They turned the weak water sea into a deathly still sea area. The weak water ancient god was suppressed in the weak water sea and was tortured for eternity. This was the legend that Lin Feng heard from the demon lord, but he didn't know whether these legends were true or not. Perhaps soon he would be able to know many things that happened in the past. Chapter 46:35. The weak water region was not only connected to the Sin domain, it also had a long border with the Black Sand region. Moreover, the famous Black Sand Devil Prison was located at the border between the Black Sand region and the weak water region. Black Sand Devil Prison, one of the death danger zones in the Undying Realm. Perhaps it was because of the Undying Realm. Therefore, the death danger zones in the Undying Realm were much more terrifying than the death danger zones in other places. There was no need to talk about the living beings in the death danger zones. The living beings inside were extremely terrifying. Therefore, The death danger zones were forbidden to living beings. Previously, Meng Bingyan had taken out 3 immortal origin stones from the Black Sand region. Meng Bingyan wanted to cut open the immortal origin stones to see what was inside. However, Lin Feng told Meng Bingyan not to cut the stones because those immortal origin stones made Lin Feng feel that they were very dangerous. Meng Bingyan listened to Lin Feng's suggestion and sold the 3 immortal origin stones at an astonishing price during the auction. Black Sand City was less than 3,000 li away from the Black Sand Devil Prison. It seemed far, but for cultivators, this distance was naturally nothing. It would not take long to reach. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, Evil Sovereign Holy, and the 2 ghost emperors arrived at the Black Sand Devil Prison. The Black Sand Devil Prison was very lively because every year cultivators would come to pay their respects to the famous Death Danger Zone. Of course, many cultivators had another purpose. They wanted to dig out immortal origin stones from the surroundings of the Black Sand Devil Prison. The Black Sand Devil Prison was very special and different from ordinary death danger zones. Ordinary death danger zones did not produce immortal origin stones, but the Black Sand Devil Prison was rich in immortal origin stones. As for what caused all of this, it was not clear because these death danger zones were very strange. Before those powerful living beings hid in the death danger zones, the death danger zones had existed for countless years. Perhaps even the ruler of the death danger zones could not clearly explore the secrets inside the death danger zones. During this period of time, even more cultivators gathered in Black Sand City because of the changes in the Black Sand Devil Prison. Every 3 days, waves of terrifying fluctuations would be transmitted from the Black Sand Devil Prison. He didn't know what had happened in the Black Sand Devilish Prison to cause such a terrifying fluctuation. Someone had linked the anomaly in the Black Sand Devil Dungeon to a legend. It was rumored that the Black Sand Demonic Dungeon was a prison. Some terrifying creatures were imprisoned in the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. Right now, there were violent vibrations coming from the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. It was unknown if the Black Sand Devil Dungeon was about to appear. Normal death zones mutated. Of course, in a place like the Land of Death, opportunities and dangers coexisted. When a great opportunity came, it also meant that great danger would come along with it. However, a cultivator's cultivation was to seek opportunities amidst danger. Wealth comes from danger. That was the logic behind it. Thus, despite knowing that there were dangers within the Black Sand Demonic Prison, a high number of cultivators had still been attracted over. Another legend said that when the prison appeared in the Black Sand Devil Prison, the Black Sand Devil Prison would become a lot safer during this period of time. At this time, cultivators who entered the Black Sand Devil Dungeon would only be attacked by the creatures hidden in the dungeon. They would not be attacked by the laws of the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. One had to know that the most terrifying part of the Land of Death was not the creatures inside, but the various terrifying laws of the Land of Death. How many years had the creatures in the Land of Death been hiding there? How many years had the Land of Death existed? There was no comparison at all. Many cultivators were looking forward to the appearance of the prison in the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. Their thoughts were actually very simple. If a great opportunity really appeared, they would just let the experts of the top factions fight for it. Meanwhile, they would just dig for immortal origin stones in the outer area. As long as they could dig out one immortal origin stone, its value would be unimaginable. At that time, it could be described as a windfall from the sky. Lin Feng could not help but reveal a shocked expression after hearing the news of the Black Sand Devil Dungeon's anomaly. Lin Feng was very clear about the dangers of the Land of Death. The Land of Death in the mortal world was already so terrifying, let alone the Land of Death in the undying world. It was simply unimaginable how terrifying it was. Lin Feng planned to stay here for a while. He wanted to see if the rumors were true that a prison would appear when the Black Sand Devil Dungeon underwent an anomaly. If that was the case, then this matter must be hiding some shocking secrets. On the second day after Lin Feng arrived at Black Sand City, he sensed the anomaly in the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. Extremely terrifying fluctuations filled the void, and those terrifying fluctuations were coming from the direction of the Black Sand Devil Dungeon. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that the fluctuations coming from the Black Sand Devil Dungeon had a special characteristic. Those fluctuations were weak and gradually grew stronger. As time passed, the fluctuations became more and more terrifying. The fluctuations lasted for 8 hours. When the powerful fluctuations came from the Black Sand Devil Dungeon, many cultivators felt extremely suppressed. Therefore, many people were pale and sweating profusely. This is really strange. Don't tell me there's really a prison. If there's really a prison, are there living creatures imprisoned in it? If there are living creatures imprisoned in there, then who are the ones imprisoned in the Black Sand Devil Dungeon? Duzu couldn't help but voice the doubts in his heart. This was also what Lin Feng was puzzled about. Since the legendary prison had yet to appear, Lin Feng couldn't be sure if the rumors were true. However, there was no smoke without fire. Since there was such a rumor, in that case, perhaps those rumors were true? This was something that was hard to say. Lin Feng was still waiting in Black Sand City. On this day, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign holy sage, and the 2 ghost emperors went to a brothel to drink. Living in this world, one should enjoy life when it's time to do so. This was especially true when they were young. They should seize the time to enjoy themselves. After all, they were full of energy when they were young. Once they grew older, they might not have the energy to enjoy themselves even if they wanted to. To Lin Feng's great surprise, he actually saw a myriad flower building in Black Sand City. Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign holy sage, and the 2 ghost emperors exchanged glances. Lin Feng was all too familiar with the myriad flower building. It was originally a brothel rooted in the 9 prefectures. The myriad flower building nurtured countless beauties, which attracted countless experts. The myriad flower building had always been a neutral faction. Perhaps this was the reason why the myriad flower building had opened many branches in many great worlds outside of the 9 prefectures. Lin Feng hadn't expected the myriad flower building to open a branch in the undying world. It seemed that the myriad flower building was quite powerful. Chapter 46:36. At this moment, Lin Feng had a myriad of thoughts. This was because the myriad flower building had evoked many memories in him. For example, the saintess of the myriad flower building, Miao Ku, had purposely gotten close to him. There was even an ambiguous relationship between the 2 of them. However, in reality, Miao Ku only wanted to use him to enter the emotionless Tao. First enter the emotions, then cut off the emotions. This was the emotionless Tao. The emotionless Tao was suitable for women. Therefore, many talented female cultivators had cultivated the emotionless Tao. Other than Miao Ku, Lin Feng had also interacted with the 2 saintesses of the myriad flower building, Lu Huaxian and Hua Luyu. There was no need to mention Lu Huaxian. She was Lin Feng's confidant, although the 2 of them often quarreled when they were together. Lin Feng was actually very fond of Lu Huaxian. Lu Huaxian's beauty was soul-stirring. She was like a fairy in a painting. Her beauty was suffocating. She was so beautiful that no one could bear to profane her. Lin Feng still remembered the scene of him kissing Lu Huaxian. He also remembered the scene of Lu Huaxian chasing after him with a sword. However, Lin Feng had not seen Lu Huaxian for a very long time. Previously, Lin Feng had inquired about Lu Huaxian. Lu Huaxian had always been in seclusion. After Lin Feng left the 9 continents, he lost contact with Lu Huaxian. He did not know how Lu Huaxian was doing now. As for Hua Luoyu, Lin Feng was not particularly familiar with her. However, Lin Feng heard that she was formed from an immortal infant. She was equivalent to a sacred spirit. Such an origin was naturally extremely extraordinary. Let's go and take a look at the Myriad Flower Building. Lin Feng said, I wonder if there is any difference between the Myriad Flower Building in the Undying Realm and the one in the Mortal Realm. Du Zhu said with a grin. The few of them entered the Myriad Flower Building. The inside of the building was very lively. After the 5 of them entered the Myriad Flower Building, a beautiful woman swayed her willowy waist and walked over. She was holding a fan in her hand. The beautiful woman smiled and said, 5 lords, please come in. Lin Feng and the others followed the beautiful woman into the Myriad Flowers Building. Du Zhu said, We want the prettiest girl. He. Sir, the ladies here are all so beautiful that they can captivate even the birds and beasts. They are absolutely alluring. The beautiful woman said with a smile. She brought Lin Feng and the others to a private room. Lin Feng was very generous. 30 dancers, 30 singers, and 30 singers were chosen each. Apart from that, he had also ordered 10 beautiful women to accompany him, so each person had 2 beautiful women to serve him. Lin Feng and the others only left in the middle of the night. Just as he walked outside, someone suddenly bumped into Lin Feng from behind. It was a cultivator with a thin and weak figure. He didn't get a clear look at what he looked like. After bumping into someone, the cultivator quickly left. Du Zhu scolded, Are you King blind? He didn't even apologize after bumping into someone. Du Zhu was drunk and seemed to want to argue with that cultivator. Lin Feng pulled Du Zhu back. In fact, Lin Feng was also a little drunk. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been bumped into by that cultivator. It's just a small matter. Let's go back and rest. I just want to have a good sleep now. Lin Feng said. Du Zhu finally let it go. The few of them returned to their rooms. After washing up, they went back to their rooms to rest. Late in the night, a figure silently appeared in Lin Feng's room. Then, a cold light appeared in the figure's hand. It was a dagger. The figure held the dagger and stabbed at Lin Feng. Just as the dagger was about to stab Lin Feng, the sleeping Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed the person's wrist. A voice suddenly came from the darkness. It was a woman. Who are you? Why did you come to my place in the middle of the night to assassinate me? Do I know you? Are you a member of the assassin dynasty? Lin Feng looked at the female cultivator and asked, Go to hell and ask the king of hell. The female cultivator said coldly. Her other hand slapped at Lin Feng. Lin Feng reached out his hand. He grabbed her other wrist as well. He suddenly pulled. The female cultivator was pulled to the bed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng held her down. He flicked his finger. The night illumination pearl in the room lit up. The room became bright. Lin Feng saw the face of the woman in front of him. It was a small and charming face. She could be said to be beautiful. At this moment, she was looking at him with a fierce expression. Let go of me, the woman said fiercely. You're now a prisoner. How dare you act so presumptuously in front of me? You really don't have the attitude of a prisoner. Do you know how this young master will treat a beautiful prisoner like you? Lin Feng suddenly showed an evil expression. You, what do you want to do? I'm telling you, don't act recklessly. If you dare to act recklessly, I won't let you go. The female cultivator threatened. However, her threat didn't have any deterrent effect. Lin Feng pinched her delicate face and said, "Whether you act recklessly or not depends on whether you're honest or not. Later, you'll answer whatever I ask you. Do you hear me?" The female cultivator originally wanted to refute, but when she thought of how beautiful she was and how she was now in Lin Feng's hands, she felt a chill in her heart. If she really went against this guy's words, would he really do something worse than a beast to her? Therefore, she could only choose to submit for now. "Why do you want to kill me?" Lin Feng asked. "Because I want to get something from you," the female cultivator said. "Oh, get something from me? What is it?" Lin Feng asked. "Someone put something on you. Don't you know?" the female cultivator said. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He suddenly thought of the person he met when he was drunk. That person bumped into him. Could it be that that person stuffed something on him? At that time, he didn't notice it. Lin Feng rummaged through his body. Sure enough, he found something. It was a black jade token. It was very strange. He didn't know what it was. "In order to get this thing, you actually want to kill me. A woman's heart is really the most vicious." Lin Feng pinched the female cultivator's face. Her red lips pouted. She was really cute. However, her heart was a little too black. "You bastard!" The female cultivator angrily looked at Lin Feng. She wanted to struggle, but she couldn't. Lin Feng said, "Since you're in my hands, you'd better behave." The female cultivator was extremely angry, but she didn't dare to resist Lin Feng. She could only obey. Lin Feng continued asking, "Who was the person who stuffed something into my clothes?" "She's my little sister," the female cultivator said coldly. When she mentioned her little sister, killing intent actually appeared in her eyes. Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. Why did the female cultivator want to kill her little sister? Could it be that the two sisters had some unresolvable grudge? Fifth update. Chapter 46:37. "What? You even want to kill your own sister?" Lin Feng continued to pinch her pretty cheeks. The female cultivator could only glare at Lin Feng in the face of his shamelessness. She couldn't resist Lin Feng, so she could only accept it silently. "She's a slut. She deserves to die," the female cultivator said fiercely. It seemed like she had a lot of resentment towards her sister. How strange. Someone actually called their own sister a slut. "I've learned something today," Lin Feng said. "She almost killed me for the token of darkness. If she's not a slut, then what is she?" The killing intent in the female cultivator's eyes intensified. "Token of darkness? Are you saying that the token in my hand is a token of darkness? What's the use of this token of darkness?" Lin Feng asked. "Rumor has it that it's the token to open the devil prison." "Devil prison? Could it be a prison in the Black Sand Devil Prison?" Lin Feng continued to ask. "That's right." The female cultivator nodded. Lin Feng was shocked. If what the female cultivator said was true, then there might really be a prison in the Black Sand Devil Prison. Lin Feng was very moved. If that was the case, then it was too shocking. "Aren't you still alive? It seems like your sister still has feelings for you. She doesn't want to kill you. She just wants to steal the token," Lin Feng said. "What do you know? I escaped in time. Otherwise, I would have died long ago," the female cultivator said through gritted teeth. "Then you started to chase after your sister after you recovered?" Lin Feng asked. "That's right. She deserves to die. I want to kill her and take back what's mine," the female cultivator said. "Your little sister is no match for you, so she hid the item on me. In truth, she wants you to target me so that she can take the opportunity to escape," Lin Feng asked. "Now you know how vicious and merciless this little bitch is, right?" the female cultivator asked. Lin Feng said sarcastically, "Aren't you to the pot calling the kettle black? Don't talk about her. You're the same. Humph. The female cultivator gave a cold snort and looked to the left, unwilling to continue looking at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile, "Say, do you think your sister will return to me after getting rid of you and think of a way to take the token of darkness away? Of course she will. This little bitch will not willingly hand over the token to others. She must be hoping that I will die in your hands. This little bitch loves to pretend to be pitiful. If she appears, she will definitely pretend to be pitiful in front of you. Then she will win your favor and take the opportunity to attack. So, no matter what she says, don't believe it." The female cultivator said. "You know her very well." Lin Feng said. "Of course, we're twin sisters. We grew up together, so we're naturally familiar with each other." The female cultivator said. "What's your name?" Lin Feng asked. "Ning Xinyu." The female cultivator said. "Ning Salted Fish. What's wrong with that name? Salted Fish?" Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter, "I'll bite you to death." The female cultivator knew that Lin Feng was deliberately teasing her and was furious. Her body was pinned down by Lin Feng, and she couldn't move. She could only open her mouth and bite Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng didn't let her have her way. Lin Feng grabbed her face and said with a smile, "Your temper is really explosive. What's your sister's name?" "Ning Xinyu." Ning Xinyu said coldly. "Then I'll wait for her to come. But before she comes, I'll have to deal with you first." Lin Feng looked at Ning Xinyu and said. Ning Xinyu's beautiful face changed abruptly. "What do you want to do? Kill me?" Ning Xinyu asked. If it were anyone else, they would have died a horrible death. However, I'm a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex. I can't bear to kill a delicate beauty like you." Lin Feng said with a smile. You don't mess around. The expert behind me isn't someone you can offend. If you dare to mess around, you won't be able to keep your life." Ning Xinyu said with a trembling voice. "I didn't expect you to be afraid." Lin Feng said with a smile that didn't look like a smile. "I'm also a human. Of course I'm afraid." The female cultivator said. "Don't worry, I won't touch you for now. Wait until I catch your sister. I'm going to rest now," Lin Feng said. Then he used a seal to seal Ning Xinyu and placed her on a stool. Lin Feng lay on the bed and slept. Ning Xinyu was furious. "You said you have tender feelings for the fairer sex. Is this how you treat a woman? You put me on a cold stool for an entire night. Don't you feel guilty at all?" "Then what do you want me to do with you?" Lin Feng asked speechlessly. She was just a prisoner, yet she had so many demands. Ning Xinyu said, "At least find me a room and let me sleep on the bed." Lin Feng immediately rolled his eyes. "Can you have some awareness of being a prisoner? You're a prisoner now, not a big missy." Lin Feng really wanted to pry open this woman's head and see what she was thinking. "Of course, you can sleep on the bed if you want. Come, sleep on my bed." Lin Feng shifted his body and said. Ning Xinyu glared at Lin Feng fiercely and didn't say anything else. She wasn't willing to sleep with Lin Feng. The next day, Lin Feng woke up and found Ning Xinyu still asleep. "Wake up!" Lin Feng patted Ning Xinyu. Ning Xinyu woke up. When she saw Lin Feng, she was shocked and said, "Why are you here? Why am I here?" "Damn, have you forgotten what happened last night?" Lin Feng looked at Ning Xinyu speechlessly and asked, "Of course I remember. I left a token with you temporarily. Then I left and found a place to rest. Why am I in your room when I woke up? Could it be that you kidnapped me while I was sleeping last night?" Ning Xinyu looked at Lin Feng in horror. "You kidnapped me? What do you want to do to me?" "I know it's my fault for leaving the token with you to lure my big sister away. However, My big sister didn't do anything to you, right? Please forgive me. Ning Xianyu spoke while looking at Lin Feng with a pitiful expression. She was originally a beautiful woman. Now that she was showing such a pitiful and tearful expression, one couldn't help but feel sorry for her. However, Lin Feng felt a headache coming on. Wasn't this woman Ning Xianyu? Lin Feng remembered very clearly that he had captured Ning Xianyu yesterday. After that, he had imprisoned her and placed her on a bench for her to rest. In just one night, Ning Xianyu seemed to have changed into a different person. Moreover, from her tone, this woman wasn't Ning Xianyu, but Ning Xianyu's younger sister, Ning Xianwu. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. He didn't know what Ning Xianyu was up to. Chapter 46:38. What the hell are you up to? Lin Feng looked at Ning Xianyu and asked, I'm not up to anything. Ning Xianyu said, Can you let me go? You said that Ning Xianyu is your sister? You're called Ning Xianwu? Lin Feng asked. How did you know that I'm called Ning Xianwu? Ning Xianyu asked in shock. Lin Feng couldn't help but rub his eyes. What the hell was going on? Did Ning Xianyu become Ning Xianwu? Lin Feng was sure that this woman was Ning Xianyu and definitely not Ning Xianwu. However, this woman said that she was Ning Xianwu. It was really strange. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that her personality was indeed different from Ning Xianyu's. Could a person have two different personalities? Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. I've seen your sister, Lin Feng said. Ning Xianwu said in shock. You've seen my sister? What did she say to you? Did she slander me in front of you? Lin Feng nodded and said, That's right. She slandered you, saying that you almost killed her to get the token of darkness. She even called you a slut. Ning Xianwu said, How could my sister slander me? I was the one who got the token of darkness. She wanted to snatch it away, so she chased after me. I had no choice but to give you the token of darkness because I feel that you're very strong and the people around you are also very strong. Therefore, even if my sister comes to find you, she won't be able to do anything to you. Lin Feng looked at Ning Xianwu leisurely. Of course, it could also be Ning Xianyu. He couldn't tell who this woman was anymore. Let's wait for your sister to find me, Lin Feng said. All right, if Big Sister comes, I'll explain the token of darkness to Big Sister, Ning Xianwu said happily. When night fell, Lin Feng returned to his room and looked at Ning Xianwu. Is my slut sister here yet? Ning Xianyu looked at Lin Feng and asked, You are Ning Xianyu? Lin Feng asked. Didn't I already tell you who I am? Why are you asking who I am? Ning Xianyu looked at Lin Feng, speechlessly. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Ning Xianwu became Ning Xianyu again. It was really strange. Could it be a split personality? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Lin Feng had never seen a person with dual personality, but he had heard of people with dual personality. It was said that a person with dual personality would have one personality at a certain time and another at another time. And the woman in front of him was just like that. In a certain period of time, she was Ning Xianyu. In another period of time, she became Ning Xianwu. Her personality was constantly switching between Ning Xianyu and Ning Xianwu. At this moment, Ning Xianyu reacted and said, Did my little sister come by? What did that little slut say to you? I guess this little bitch definitely didn't say anything good about me. She's always been like this. She's always been the good guy, and I've become the bad guy. But in reality, she's constantly playing tricks in the dark. The worst person isn't me, it's her. Lin Feng said, You are suffering from paranoia. Your little sister didn't say anything bad about you. so don't let your imagination run wild. Where did that little slut go? Hurry up and let me go. I want to find that little slut, Ning Xinyu said. Let you go? Do you think that's possible? You wanted to kill me before. If you don't pay a price, do you think I will let you go? Lin Feng looked at Ning Xinyu and said, I can give you countless treasures in exchange for my freedom. Ning Xinyu said, Countless treasures? I don't care. I like you more. Lin Feng said with a smile. He lifted Ning Xinyu's snow-white chin. This woman was indeed beautiful. Ning Xinyu bit her lips and didn't say anything. Lin Feng smiled and said, I will come and see you again tomorrow. On the second day, Ning Xinyu became Ning Xianwu again. Is my sister here? I have a feeling that she is hiding in the surroundings and is watching me in the dark, Ning Xianwu said. At this point, Lin Feng was finally completely sure that this woman might have dual personalities. So sometimes it was Ning Xianyu's personality that took over the body, and sometimes it was Ning Xianwu's personality that took over the body. Now, Lin Feng was a little hesitant. He didn't know how to deal with this woman. Just as Lin Feng had said, he was a man who had tender feelings for women. Lin Feng naturally couldn't bear to kill this woman in front of him. Lin Feng said, Your sister has left. You should leave too. Don't worry, you will be fine. Your sister promised me that she won't chase after you anymore. Really? Ning Xianwu's beautiful face instantly revealed an ecstatic expression. If it was true, then to her, this was an extremely happy thing, because Ning Xianwu didn't want to be enemies with her sister. Of course it's true, Lin Feng said. Then he released the seal on Ning Xianwu's body. Ning Xianwu said happily, Thank you. If it wasn't for you, my sister would definitely want to kill me. We are sisters. I don't want to be enemies with my sister. Sisters should indeed love each other dearly. Instead of killing each other, I hope that the relationship between you sisters can be completely repaired in the future. All right, you can leave now, Lin Feng said. Can you return the token of darkness to me? Ning Xianwu asked. The token of darkness is mine, Lin Feng said. Ning Xianwu said, It's useless for you to have the token of darkness. Why? Didn't you say that the token of darkness can open the prison? When the prison appears, I will take the token of darkness to open it, Lin Feng said. Ning Xianwu said, You can't open the prison because only I can use the token of darkness to open it. Why is that? Lin Feng's face revealed a puzzled expression. Ning Xianwu said, A long time ago, a demonic spirit flower flew out of the prison. My sister and I are divine spirits born from that demonic spirit flower. Our roots are from that prison. When the demonic spirit flower flew out, it brought along the token of darkness. It's said that only living beings who walk out of the prison have the hope of opening the prison. Because my sister and I are divine spirits born from the demonic spirit flower, we belong to this category. Therefore, we can use the token of darkness to open the prison, but others can't. Chapter 46:39. After hearing Ning Xianwu's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He didn't know if what Ning Xianwu said was true. However, Ning Xianwu looked rather innocent. Perhaps what she said was true. Lin Feng asked, Do you know what that prison is like? What kind of living beings are imprisoned there? I'm not sure about that. Ning Xianwu said, It's impossible to take back the token of darkness. If you think it's possible, you can follow me. When the time comes, we can go to that prison together. You must have your own purpose for entering that prison. I won't ask what your purpose is. I'm also very interested in that prison, Lin Feng said. All right. Ning Xianwu nodded in agreement. Then she continued, "What about the restriction on my body? When do you plan to remove the restriction on my body?" Lin Feng said, "There's no hurry. We'll talk about it in a few days." "All right then," Ning Xianwu replied. Her personality was different from Ning Xianyu's. If it was Ning Xianyu, she would definitely scream hysterically. She would definitely not be willing to be imprisoned. For a period of time after that, the Black Sand Devil prison still had strange movements. However, that rumored prison had yet to appear. More and more cultivators were attracted to it. Even famous young masters like young Master Mingyu and young Master Xing Yu were attracted to it. Not only were they attracted to it, even a few beautiful fairies were attracted to it. For example, Mu Yasi, Nangong Muli, and Hua Ling Xian. These were all peerless beauties that Lin Feng had seen before. Lin Feng had met Mu Yasi a few times, but they weren't very familiar with each other. However, he was quite familiar with Mu Xia's junior sister, Su Yihan. After all, Su Yihan's first kiss was snatched away by Lin Feng. Su Yihan and Mu Yasi had a good relationship. When Lin Feng heard that Mu Yasi had come to the capital of crime, he could not help but wonder if Su Yihan, that hot pepper, was here. Back then, Lin Feng had killed the divine heavenly king's grandson, Shun Yansheng, in Divine Sovereign City. Afterward, he had left Divine Sovereign City before the sacred army surrounded him. After that, he had not seen Mu Yasi and Su Yihan again. In fact, although Su Yihan's personality was a little feisty, she was pretty and quite cute when one thought about it. As for Mu Yasi, she had a similar temperament to Lu Huaxian. She was like a peerless beauty that only appeared in paintings and poems, making people feel uneasy to approach her. Lin Feng was not particularly familiar with Nangong Muli. He only knew that her master was a powerful expert. Master Xingyu, one of the 8 great childs, was Nangong Muli's pursuer. Back then, Master Xingyu had wanted to kill Lin Feng and seize Lin Feng's Ho Yibao. However, he was worried that Lin Feng had a backup plan, so he did not make a move. Lin Feng was more familiar with Hua Lingxian. Back then, Lin Feng had met the demiurge-flawed 4 monsters because of Hua Lingxian. Previously, the demiurge-flawed 4 monsters had followed Lin Feng to the Xia family village. Later on, the demiurge-flawed 4 monsters had run off to some unknown place. Those 4 guys had rather strange personalities, so it was difficult for them to stay in the same place. As one of the top 10 beauties of the Undying Realm and the disciple of Demon Empress Feng, she, Hua Lingxian, naturally had countless pursuers. She was a sacred spirit born from the immortal flower and was a rising star of the demon race. Therefore, not only did she have many pursuers, but there were also many people who wanted to kill her, especially some from the heavenly court. However, this woman was very powerful, so it was not easy to kill her. Moreover, if they really wanted to make a move, they had to consider whether they could withstand Demon Empress Feng, she's anger. Demon Empress Feng, she of the demon race, was definitely an existence that no one dared to provoke. With so many top-notch prodigies and fairies arriving, Black Sand City became even more lively. For example, the reputation of the 8 great young masters and the 10 great fairies far surpassed many of the older generation experts. This was because their own combat strength could compete with many of the older generation experts. Moreover, they were very young. The men were handsome and confident, and the women were as beautiful as fairies. Naturally, they would become the focus of countless people's attention. In the Heavenly Fragrance Inn, the young generation's prodigies were gathering, but there were only about 20 people who could enter the private rooms on the 3rd floor, other than the 8 great young masters and a few of the 10 great fairies. Those who could enter were all top-notch experts of the younger generation. In fact, those experts' combat strength was not necessarily lower than the 8 great young masters. It was just that their background was not as good as the 8 great young masters, so they could not be ranked among the 8 great young masters. Everyone, what do you think of that sinner's bloodline, Lin Feng? During this period of time, he has caused a lot of trouble, and now he seems to have made a name for himself. A handsome young master said with a smile, "This person was called the Destined Young Master. He was an extraordinary person. It was said that he had the emperor's bloodline. This was an extremely rare ancient bloodline. This bloodline could exert enormous pressure on all kinds of bloodlines. His background was also very extraordinary. He was the successor of a hidden family. That hidden family was very mysterious. The outside world didn't know much about it, but it was said that it was the same as the Northern Wilderness War God's bloodline. It was a power that had taken root in the undying realm a long time ago. When the 9th Heavenly Emperor had just ascended to the throne, he had even paid a visit to this family. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the power behind the Destined Young Master was. This Lin Feng is indeed not simple. From how he was able to snatch the Ho Yi Bao back then, we can see how extraordinary he is. A young master said, Su Yihan said, "This guy is a stinking scoundrel. Don't overestimate him." Clearly, Su Yihan was angry when she said those words. She recalled that her first kiss was taken by Lin Feng. Now, Su Yihan was still a little mad. Nangong merely smiled and said, "Sister Yihan, you seem to be angry when you say those words. Could it be that Lin Feng has offended you?" Su Yihan said, "No, it's just my own opinion." Nangong merely smiled and said, "I've seen this person before. He is indeed an extraordinary person. He even killed one of young Master Shuiyu's clones. You should know that young Master Shuiyu's clones are stone golems. They are very powerful. Since he was able to kill young Master Shuiyu's clones, it shows how extraordinary he is." Young Master Xingyu said, "Fairy, you are exaggerating his ability. His realm is not high, and he relies on the Ho Yi Bao and the sun-shooting divine arrows to be fierce. If he loses the Ho Yi Bao and the sun-shooting divine arrows, his combat capability will be ordinary. For a gathering like today, he is at most qualified to be with the practitioners below. He is not even qualified to enter our box." Young Master Xing used words were full of disdain for Lin Feng. As one of the 8 great young masters of the undying realm, young Master Ming used battle strength was truly heaven-defying. Therefore, he had always maintained a high and mighty attitude. Lin Feng wasn't even in his eyes. Chapter 4640. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know that a group of young geniuses were discussing him. At this moment, Lin Feng was heading to the black market with Ning Xianwu. Ning Xianwu said that she needed to prepare some things before entering the Black Sand Devil prison. As for Du Zhu, the evil sovereign holy sage, and the 2 ghost emperors, they had run off somewhere to fool around. Lin Feng couldn't be bothered with them. Ning Xianwu didn't know Lin Feng's real name. Lin Feng only told her that he was called Ji. This was Lin Feng's alias. Lin Feng had used this alias when he was in the mortal world. Now, Lin Feng was using this alias again. Lin Feng was handsome and had an outstanding temperament. He was the center of attention wherever he went. Ning Xianwu, on the other hand, was a heavenly beauty. Naturally, she was the center of attention. When such a golden couple walked together, they attracted the attention of many cultivators. Lin Feng wasn't afraid that others would recognize him. Many people had heard of his name, but not many had actually seen him. How could it be so easy to bump into him? Of course, even if they recognized his identity, ordinary cultivators would have to take a detour when they saw him. perhaps only some of Lin Feng's enemies would attack him. For example, the Black Sand Region Lord, the 8 Extreme Palace, the Heavenly Court, and other forces. Black Sand City was indeed an ancient city under the Black Sand Region Lord's control. However, there weren't any particularly powerful existences here. Therefore, even if he was discovered, Lin Feng wasn't afraid at all. Ning Xianwu first brought Lin Feng to many pharmacies and bought all kinds of medicinal ingredients. Lin Feng asked, "Why are you buying these medicinal ingredients?" "To refine insect repellent pills. I vaguely remember that when we were heading to the devil prison, there would be a huge swarm of insects. If we were surrounded by those insects, we would die a horrible death. We need insect repellent pills to disperse those insects," Ning Xianwu said. Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. Then he said, "It doesn't seem to be so troublesome. Just buy some insect repellent pills. In the black market, immortal grade insect repellent pills should be able to be bought." Ning Xianwu said, "Those insect repellent pills won't do. You need special insect repellent pills to be effective." After collecting the ingredients, Ning Xianwu continued to bring Lin Feng to stroll around the city. Actually, Lin Feng didn't like to go shopping. He usually went shopping with a goal in mind: to leave. To leave. This was a habit that many male cultivators. Female cultivators, on the other hand, were different. Even if they did not buy anything, they still liked to wander around. "What else do I need to buy?" Feng asked. Xianwu said, "Could it be that we can use the Buddha fat?" Lin Feng asked. "The Buddha resin can protect our souls from the invasion of evil spirits. The devil prison is a very terrifying place. Countless people have died in the devil prison over the years. Therefore, buying the Buddha resin is a very important matter. Without it, our souls will be invaded by those evil spirits and ghosts. This is a very troublesome matter," Ning Xianwu said. Actually, Lin Feng had obtained some Buddhist oil in the past, but he had used it all. Buddhist oil wasn't only useful for dispelling evil spirits, it was also useful for cultivation. It could make a cultivator's cultivation speed increase at an insane rate. But Buddhist resin was too precious. It wasn't easy to buy. If Lin Feng could buy Buddhist resin continuously, he wouldn't mind using it all the time when he was practicing cultivation. However, he could only think about it. Lin Feng said, "The Buddha resin isn't sold on the market. If you want to buy it, you'll have to rely on some connections. Unless you have connections, you won't be able to buy it." "Hee. Of course I have connections," Ning Xianwu said with a smile. She went to a few of the bigger trading companies. Every time she went to a trading company, she would take out a token and show it to others. However, although she went to many trading companies, the token didn't have any effect. "What are you doing?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Ning Xianwu said, "Previously, there was a bastard who saw my beauty and wanted to do something bad to me. Therefore, I threw that bastard into a tiger's den to feed the tigers. Then I took his token. That token contained the cultivator's name, age, and other basic information. However, it didn't indicate which power he came from. Those big forces often open trading companies, and with that medallion, they can buy many things that outsiders can't buy from the trading companies. Although we don't know which group that guy belongs to, and we don't know which trading company he opened, we can check them one by one. Sooner or later, we'll be able to find him." Hearing this, Lin Feng said, "Even if we find the other party's power, they will check the identity token. At that time, we will definitely be exposed." Ning Xianwu giggled and said, "Trust me, we won't be exposed." Seeing how confident Ning Xianwu was, Lin Feng felt a little apprehensive. He didn't know how she could hide it from everyone. Ning Xianwu didn't say anything, so Lin Feng didn't ask. It would be boring to know everything clearly. He and Ning Xianwu asked one trading company after another. Finally, they found this trading company. It was called the 10,000 Heavens Trading Company. The power behind it was the 10,000 Heavens Palace. The 10,000 Heavens Palace was formed by a few big clans. The members of these big clans were the core of the 10,000 Heavens Palace. Of course, they would also recruit many talented geniuses and nurture them. Only by constantly nurturing many experts would this power be able to remain strong. Lin Feng wasn't very familiar with the 10,000 Heavens Palace. He only knew that the 10,000 Heavens Palace was a very ancient power that supported the Heavenly Emperor. The young Master Xingyu that Lin Feng saw before was the leader of the younger generation of the 10,000 Heavens Palace. Lin Feng didn't expect that the token Ning Xianwu obtained was the 10,000 Heavens Palace's token. After seeing the token, the deacon of the 10,000 Heavens Palace naturally didn't dare to underestimate it. The deacon brought Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu to the VIP lounge. A beautiful maid poured tea for Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu. The deacon then invited the elder over. Not long after, an elder arrived. He looked to be in his 50s. This elder was called Fan Yeqing. When he saw Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu, he couldn't help but cup his fists. "I need to check the identity token," Fan Yeqing said. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. He was actually a little worried that there would be a problem with the identity token. After all, the information imprinted on it didn't belong to Ning Xianwu. Previously, the deacon didn't have the authority to check the identity token, so he called the elder over. But now that the elder wanted to check the identity token, wouldn't he be exposed? Ning Xianwu said that she had a way to deceive everyone. Could she really do it? Lin Feng wasn't confident. "I just changed the information inside." Ning Xianwu turned to look at Lin Feng and then moved her lips. Lin Feng understood Ning Xianwu's lips. He couldn't help but ponder. This girl's magic power was sealed by him. How did she change the information inside? Could it be that she had broken the seal that he had placed on her, so her magic power had recovered? After checking it, Fan Yeqing found no problems and returned the token to Ning Xianwu. Fan Yeqing then smiled and said, "What do you want to buy?" "We need Buddha resin. I'm sure the trading company has it. Take it out," Ning Xianwu said. He said, "Buddha resin is precious. Even if you're a member of the 10,000 Heavens Palace, you can't buy it for much cheaper." "Of course. Someone will pay for it," Ning Xianwu said. Fan Yeqing glanced at Lin Feng. He couldn't help but mutter in his heart. He guessed that Lin Feng was one of the pursuers of this fairy from the 10,000 Heavens Palace. Therefore, this fairy would buy whatever was expensive. Chapter 46-41. "How many do you intend to buy?" Fan Yeqing asked. "I'll buy as many as you have," Ning Xianwu said. When Fan Yeqing saw that Lin Feng still looked indifferent, he started whispering to himself again. This guy was really willing to spend so much just to pick up girls. However, the fairy before him was indeed beautiful. No wonder this guy was so generous. "All right, wait a moment. I'll go get the Buddha resin now," Fan Yeqing said, and left. After Fan Yeqing left, Ning Xianwu giggled and said, "Did you see that? I told you I had a way to deal with everything." He didn't find anything when he checked the identity token. "What did you do to it?" Lin Feng asked Ning Xianwu. "I only erased the information that belonged to that guy and replaced it with my own information," Ning Xianwu said. If this elder was very familiar with the disciples of Myriad Heaven Palace, wouldn't you still be exposed? Lin Feng said. The reason he said that was because Ning Xianwu wasn't from Myriad Heaven Palace. The confidence she left in the token must be fake. Since it was fake information, it was normal for the other party to notice it. Ning Xianwu said, "That's why the information I left in the token didn't state that I'm a disciple of Myriad Heaven Palace. The information I left in the token is that I'm the granddaughter of a guest elder." A guest elder's granddaughter? Lin Feng looked at Ning Xianwu in surprise. Ning Xianwu said, "Even though that guy knows many disciples of the 10,000 Heaven Palace, he definitely doesn't know the granddaughter of the consecrator of the 10,000 Heaven Palace. Those consecrators of the 10,000 Heaven Palace are all very mysterious and very powerful. At his level, it's already not bad if he knows the names of those consecrators." "You're really a crafty girl," Lin Feng said with a smile. He found Ning Xianwu even more interesting. Ning Xianwu stuck out her tongue and said, "Are you impressed by my intelligence now?" Lin Feng lowered his voice and said, "Looks like you've broken my seal. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to secretly change the information in the token. Should I add some more seals on you?" "Don't. I don't want to be sealed by restrictions. I will listen to you. Please don't seal me with restrictions." Ning Xianwu looked at Lin Feng pitifully. Lin Feng thought to himself, "I didn't use a restriction to seal the current you. I used a restriction to seal the other you. Who knows when Ning Xianyu's you will appear? Right now, you're really cute and lovable." However, the you that belonged to Ning Xianyu was completely different. However, looking at Ning Xianwu's pitiful look, Lin Feng said, "All right, I promise you." Ning Xianwu was instantly delighted. She looked at Lin Feng with a face full of smiles. Those who didn't know would think that the two of them were looking at each other affectionately. At this moment, Fan Yeching returned to the VIP lounge and said with a smile, "Fairy, the Buddha resin is ready." After saying that, Fan Yeching took out a porcelain bottle. "Just this much?" Ning Xianwu asked. Fan Yeching smiled bitterly and said, "Fairy, the Buddha resin is sold by the drop. Even this bottle of Buddha resin took us a long time to collect." "Is that so? Then Big Brother G, hurry up and pay the bill." Ning Xianwu kept the Buddha resin and looked at Lin Feng. Even calling him Big Brother G, this fairy won't be taken down by this brat just like that, right? This brat is really going to enjoy life. After hearing how Ning Xianwu addressed Lin Feng, Fan Yeching couldn't help but mutter in his heart. One could say that he was envious of Lin Feng. What a beautiful immortal flower. Yet it was going to be plucked by Lin Feng. Who asked Lin Feng to be handsome, rich, and good at picking up girls? How many immortal stones? Lin Feng looked at Fan Yeching and asked, 3 million immortal stones. Fan Yeching said, "Mm." Lin Feng nodded and waved his hand. Instantly, a river of immortal stones flew out. This river of immortal stones was made up of a total of 3 million immortal stones. With so many immortal stones, they emitted a dense immortal chi that made one dizzy. Although 3 million immortal stones were nothing to Lin Feng, to many people, it was definitely a huge fortune. Fan Yeching kept the immortal stones. Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu didn't stay and left Wantian Trading Company. "Is there anything else you need to prepare?" Lin Feng asked. Ning Xianwu shook her head and said, "I want to take a walk. Can you accompany me?" Lin Feng said, "Sure. Hee, you're quite nice to me. Do you like me?" Ning Xianwu giggled and looked at Lin Feng. "Yes, I like you. Why don't we consummate our marriage tonight? I'll be your bridegroom," said Lin Feng. "Shameless." Ning Xianwu ruthlessly stepped on Lin Feng's foot and quickly left. "Looks like this girl is angry," whispered Lin Feng. Then he hastily chased after Ning Xianwu. He had to say some nice things to calm her down. After walking for more than 2 hours, Lin Feng bought a few toys for Ning Xianwu. The two of them were about to leave. However, at this moment, a violent fluctuation came from a stone house in the black market. I want the heavens to no longer cover my eyes. I want the earth to no longer be able to bury my heart. Suddenly, a low voice came from the stone house. Countless people heard the voice from the stone house. The voice seemed to be coming from the stones. Many people were alarmed. What a hot-blooded speech. Lin Feng looked at the stone house. Countless cultivators rushed towards the stone house. Soon, shocking news spread. The voice just now was actually coming from the stones in the stone house. Is there a stone clan being born from the stones? The stone clan being who dares to say such words is definitely a terrifying stone clan being. It's the stone house of the 8 Extreme Palace. Many people have already entered the stone house. That stone clan being hasn't been born yet. This means that there's still a chance to suppress him. If we can suppress him, we might be able to wipe out his soul and refine his body into an avatar. It's hard to imagine how powerful that avatar would be. All sorts of news spread. More and more experts rushed towards the stone house of the 8 Extreme Palace. Initially, the 8 Extreme Palace wanted to close the stone house. However, with so many experts rushing in, the 8 Extreme Palace couldn't do anything. Therefore, the 8 Extreme Palace couldn't stop them. Not long after, many old men with white hair and stooped bodies appeared. These old men had unfathomable strength and entered the stone house one after another. Chapter 46-42. Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu had also arrived at the stone workshop. There was a sea of people here, and it was very lively. Of course, most of them were here to watch the show. We can't find out which stone is the source of the sound. That stone is hidden. A cultivator said. Previously, there were many cultivators in the stone workshop. When they heard the sound, they were wild with joy and wanted to find the stone from which the sound came. However, they didn't succeed. The stone from which the sound came was hidden very deeply. That living being in the stone was clearly very cunning. It wouldn't be easy to find it. Ning Xianwu wrinkled her nose. This action was very cute. She looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Why don't we find a few stones and cut it open? Who knows, we might be able to find that Holy Spirit." Lin Feng said, "Let's wait and see." Originally, Ba Ji Palace wanted to close the stone workshop. After all, such an extraordinary existence appeared in the stone workshop. They naturally wanted to take it for themselves. However, there were so many cultivators here. They had no choice but to open their doors and do business. After all, many old antiques had appeared. Unless Ba Ji Palace wanted to completely offend those old antiques. Now, the people of Ba Ji Palace could only hope that those people couldn't find that stone. Although peddling stones could allow Ba Ji Palace to make a fortune, if that Holy Spirit was found, Ba Ji Palace would be heartbroken. The 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop would be heartbroken. No matter how many immortal stones they had, they couldn't be compared to a Holy Spirit of the stone tribe. Everyone knew what it meant to refine that Holy Spirit into an avatar. Many people couldn't wait to choose their stones. Then they began to cut the stones. Occasionally, someone would cut out something good. However, no one was able to find the large stone that the Holy Spirit was hiding in. Since the Holy Spirit of the stone race has already developed its own intelligence, it must be hidden very deeply. Moreover, in order to interfere with everyone's judgment, the Holy Spirit of the stone race might be hiding in a group of relatively precious stones. Because of this, the group of relatively precious stones would produce special fluctuations that would affect everyone's judgment. let's go to the courtyard where the high-grade stones are placed and take a look," a cultivator said. This cultivator's words immediately caused many people to agree with him. A large number of cultivators headed towards the courtyard where the high-grade stones were placed. Of course, there were also some who believed that the stone might be outside. That was because it was not safe to hide among the high-grade stones. That area would attract a lot of cultivators. Instead, it was safer to hide among the ordinary stones. Everyone's thoughts were different. Every courtyard where the stones were placed was filled with cultivators. At this time, there was a commotion outside. This was because a large number of young elites who were in the middle of a gathering had heard the news and came to the 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop. These young elites had heaven-defying methods. They naturally knew what it meant to obtain a stone-raised saint spirit and refine it into an avatar. To put it bluntly, if the main body were to encounter a calamity in the future, it would be a disaster. The soul could also enter the body of the Holy Spirit of the stone race and continue to live. Furthermore, the Holy Spirits of the Stone Clan were extremely talented, even more so than many cultivators themselves. As such, occupying the body of a Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was also a good way to cultivate. Therefore, many cultivators of the previous generation wanted to obtain the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. As for the older generation experts with white hair and stooped bodies, their thoughts were even simpler. Most of them were experts with a strong foundation. Now that they were born, their lives were flowing away at an extremely fast speed. In addition, they were old and weak. It was very difficult to change their fate. If they wanted to change their fate, the best way was to find some Holy Spirits born from the world and possess them. This way, their chances of success would be the highest. The appearance of a Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was enough to drive everyone crazy. Look, that young master is young Master Mingyu, one of the 8 young masters of the Undying Realm and the leading figure of the 8 Extreme Palaces' younger generation. That young master is young Master Xingyu, the leading figure of the Myriad Sky Palaces' younger generation. He is also a dragon among men. One of the 8 young masters of the Undying Realm. Is that young master the Destined One? He is also one of the 8 young masters of the Undying Realm. Look, it's Fairy Muyasi, one of the 10 great fairies of the Undying Realm. She is just like the legends. She is like a peerless beauty that only appears in paintings and poems. That fairy should be Fairy Nangong Muley, one of the 10 great fairies of the Undying Realm. She is pure and charming. I can't help but feel sorry for her. Is that Fairy Flower Fairy? Rumor has it that she is a fairy born from an immortal flower. She is as ethereal as an immortal. When the peerless geniuses and fairies appeared, the cultivators in the stone workshop cried out in surprise. The cultivators looked at the peerless geniuses and fairies, the 8 young masters, 10 great fairies, and some other peerless geniuses were too famous in the Undying Realm. They were young, but they could compete with the older generation experts. Everyone knew that if nothing unexpected happened, these peerless geniuses of the younger generation would surpass many of the older generation experts in the future. They were born in an era that couldn't be considered the best, but it was definitely an era of prosperity for cultivation. After the great changes in the world, this was the last period of prosperity for cultivation. It was definitely an era where peerless geniuses competed with each other. With these peerless geniuses and fairies here, our chances of finding the immortal Source Stone will be even smaller. Some cultivators lamented. They didn't want those peerless geniuses and fairies to come. In any case, I didn't have any hope. Some cultivators said, I, on the other hand, have high hopes for this matter. I hope we can find something. Moreover, Whether we can find the immortal source stone or not still depends on luck. So what if those peerless geniuses, fairies, and even the older generation experts come? If they don't have luck, they still won't find the immortal source stone. Some cultivators said. This cultivator's point of view also garnered the approval of many people. Wow, they are all powerful figures. They are all legendary figures. Ning Xianwu, who was beside Lin Feng, exclaimed when she saw the group of peerless geniuses and fairies arrive. Ignorant, Lin Feng said. Ning Xianwu said. Who's ignorant? Of course I'm shocked to see so many legendary figures. Look at the surrounding cultivators. They are all discussing. It's you. At this moment, young Master Xing, you saw Lin Feng in the crowd. His eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Those peerless geniuses and fairies all looked over. Many people had seen Lin Feng before. That was because Lin Feng had participated in one of their gatherings. When they saw Lin Feng, they were all shocked. Chapter 46-43. Lin Gongzi, I didn't expect that we would meet again here. Nangong Muley smiled as she looked at Lin Feng. Seeing that Nangong Muley had actually taken the initiative to greet Lin Feng, young Master Xingyue, who had been pursuing Nangong Muley, suddenly had an ugly expression on his face. He couldn't help but feel jealous and cold in his heart. In his opinion, Nangong Muley was his exclusive property. How could he allow others to taint her? Young Master Xingyue's possessiveness was extremely strong. However, Nangong Muley had always maintained a distance from him. She had never agreed to young Master Xingyue's pursuit. It seems that meeting here is also a kind of fate. Lin Feng replied with a smile. It seems that our fate is indeed not shallow. Nangong Muley smiled slightly. Seeing that Lin Feng and Nangong Muley were chatting so happily, young Master Xingyue's heart burned with a raging fury. He couldn't wait to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Lin Gongzi, why are you here? Hua Lingxian looked at Lin Feng in surprise. She was very happy to be able to see Lin Feng again. Because of the demon clan, Hua Lingxian and Lin Feng's relationship was quite good. Lin Feng said, I was passing by and heard that there were some changes in the Black Sand Devil prison. Therefore, I stayed in Black Sand City to see if I could come across some opportunities. Fairy, are you also here for the Black Sand Devil prison? That's right. I also heard about the Black Sand Devil prison. So I came here. Hua Lingxian said. Mu Yasi said with a smile. Lin Gongzi, although it hasn't been long since we parted in Divine Monarch City, the things that have happened in between are really unbelievable. Lin Feng naturally knew what Mu Yasi was talking about. Lin Feng nodded and said, yes, the world is unpredictable, but fortunately, everything is developing in a good direction. Su Yihan originally thought that she would gnash her teeth when she saw Lin Feng. But when she saw Lin Feng, she felt very happy. She wanted to greet Lin Feng, but when she saw Ning Xianwu beside him, her face turned ugly. She cursed Lin Feng for being shameless, so she didn't give him any face. When Lin Feng looked at her, Su Yihan coldly snorted. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. He didn't know if Su Yihan ate gunpowder. Young Master Mingyue slightly raised his eyebrows when he saw Lin Feng. He was a member of Ba Ji Palace, and Ba Ji Palace was a faction that supported Crown Prince Di Wudao. Previously, Crown Prince Di Wudao had ordered Ba Ji Palace to search for Lin Feng's whereabouts. If they found Lin Feng, it would be best if they could capture him alive. If they couldn't, they were to kill Lin Feng. Young Master Mingyue was also aware of this order, but he didn't participate in this matter. Dealing with Lin Feng would naturally be done by other members of Ba Ji Palace. However, young Master Mingyue didn't expect that Lin Feng would dare to appear in Black Sand City, and even appear in the stone workshop of Baji Palace. So, this is Brother Lin? This one has long heard of Brother Lin's great name. Meeting you today, Brother Lin is indeed a dragon among men. At this time, young Master Mingwe walked over. He had learned of Lin Feng's identity from a genius beside him who had seen Lin Feng before. After a brief moment of surprise, he personally came forward to greet Lin Feng. This one has also heard of young Master Mingwe's great name. Lin Feng politely cupped his fists. Haha, what great name. It's all because of other people's praise. If there's time, we must have a good gathering. I have been friends with Brother Lin for a long time. I just don't know if Brother Lin will give me this face. Young Master Mingwe said with a smile. Young Master Mingwe is too polite. I naturally have time. When the time comes, I will definitely drink and chat with young Master Mingwe. Lin Feng said with a smile. Brother Lin, you can just call me Brother Wu in the future. Young Master Mingwe is an outsider's title, so don't regard me as an outsider. Young Master Mingwe said. Young Master Mingwe's surname was Wu, and his name was Zhen Mingwe. His full name was Wu Zhen Mingwe. Of course, most people didn't dare to call him by his full name. Most people just called him Young Master Mingwe. Brother Wu. Lin Feng said with a smile. Young Master Mingwe laughed loudly and said, Brother Lin is truly a straightforward person. Following that, many peak-level geniuses came forward to greet Lin Feng. Many of them were peak-level geniuses that Lin Feng had met before. These peak-level geniuses knew that Lin Feng had done many earth-shattering things during this period of time. Therefore, they also wanted to befriend Lin Feng. Lin Feng was naturally very polite. Ning Xianwu, who was standing to the side, was dumbfounded. Why were these legendary characters so polite when they saw this guy? This made Ning Xianwu puzzled. Wasn't his surname Ji? Why did everyone call him Young Master Lin or Brother Lin? Shouldn't they be calling him Brother Ji? However, Ning Xianwu soon recalled that Lin Feng had introduced himself as Ji. Clearly, that was just a nickname and not a full name. It could be a surname or a given name. Therefore, Lin Feng had never mentioned his surname before. She had misunderstood that Lin Feng's surname was Ji. Could it be that this guy in front of him was also a legendary figure? Who is that young master? Why did so many peak-level geniuses and fairies take the initiative to greet him? Isn't this too inconceivable? I don't know him. I've never seen him before. These young geniuses seem to be calling him Brother Lin or Lin Gongzi. That means that young master's surname is Lin. Who is this peak-level genius with the surname Lin? Lin Feng, the Sinner's Blood Emperor. His surname is Lin. Could he be the Sinner's Blood Emperor? Lin Feng? Many cultivators began to discuss as some tried to guess Lin Feng's identity. When the cultivator spoke out his guess, it immediately caused an uproar. Lin Feng had led the Sinner's Blood Alliance to destroy the Sacred Army and deal a heavy blow to the Four Domain Alliance. Black Sand City was the territory of the Black Sand region. Lin Feng and the region lord of the Black Sand region were mortal enemies. Lin Feng had actually dared to come to the Black Sand region. Anyone would find this inconceivable. Therefore, many people believed that this young master was not the Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng. That's right. He is the Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng. I've seen him before he established the Sinner's Blood Alliance. At this time, a cultivator spoke, confirming Lin Feng's identity. The surrounding cultivators were in an uproar. The Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng, had actually come to the Black Sand region. This was truly a bold move. Countless gazes fell on Lin Feng. They wanted to see if Lin Feng really had 3 heads and 6 arms. If he did not have 3 heads and 6 arms, How did he lead the Sinner's Blood Alliance to destroy the Sacred Army and deal a heavy blow to the Four Domain Alliance? Chapter 46-44. Lin Gongzi is proficient in the art of stone identification. Can you tell which immortal source stone is sealed in which sacred spirit? One of the prodigies asked. Everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said that sacred spirit from the stone tribe is very powerful. As of now, I can't detect where it is hiding. Everyone couldn't help but mutter in their hearts. Perhaps Lin Feng wouldn't say anything even if he detected it. In their opinion, since Lin Feng was proficient in the art of stone identification, he must have sensed something. The stone tribe's sacred spirit must have extraordinary means. Therefore, it's very difficult to find it using ordinary stone identification techniques. If you want to find it, you'll need some luck. Hua Lingxian said, Yes, you'll need some luck. Everyone here has the same chance of finding it. Nangong Mili said. The surrounding cultivators discussed animatedly. Everyone gradually spread out to search for the immortal source stone that the stone tribe's sacred spirit was hiding in. The top prodigies and fairies also spread out and entered different courtyards to search for the immortal source stone that the sacred spirit might be hiding in. Naturally, they hoped to find the immortal source stone that the sacred spirit was hiding in. Every prodigy and fairy was very interested in the holy spirit of the stone clan. After the surrounding people dispersed, Ning Xianwu said, You're actually the Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng. You even lied to me that your name is Ji. You're really infuriating. Lin Feng said, Ji is my mother's surname. It's also my other name. Therefore, I didn't lie to you. Humph. After hearing Lin Feng's explanation, Ning Xianwu couldn't help but snort a few times. However, the anger in her heart subsided. Lin Feng said, That's why you shouldn't be amazed when you see those top prodigies. That's because the man beside you is even more powerful than them. You're powerful. You're the most powerful, Ning Xianwu said with a smile. Let's go. Let's go to the other courtyards and see if we can find any clues. Lin Feng said. Ning Xianwu nodded and walked towards another courtyard with Lin Feng. As soon as they entered a courtyard, waves of violent fluctuations came from the depths of the courtyard. The sounds of venting shook the heavens, because there was definitely something good that was about to appear. Such an intense fluctuation, could it be that the Holy Spirit has been found? A cultivator said. It's really possible. Another cultivator added. This courtyard was very large and was considered to be a relatively high-class courtyard. Not everyone could enter this courtyard. Only those with status were qualified to enter. Now, the geniuses and fairies of the other courtyards, including many white-haired elders, had all arrived. Let's go and take a look. Ning Xianwu was a very lively person, so she hurriedly ran towards the direction of the stone cutting. Lin Feng also followed. The cultivator cutting the stone was a white-haired old man. Someone pointed out the identity of this old man. It was said that he was a hidden expert of a mysterious hidden family. His strength was unfathomable. The stone he was cutting was a crouching ox stone. The stone looked like an old bull lying on the ground. The crouching ox stone became famous because of this. The crouching ox stone was 5 meters long and 2 meters tall. This immortal origin stone was worth 25 million immortal stones. It was very expensive. However, after only 3 cuts, there were already powerful fluctuations coming from it. Clearly, this crouching ox stone was extraordinary. No wonder so many people thought that this crouching ox stone might really produce the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was really cut out at that time, it would definitely cause quite a commotion. The old man was very skilled at cutting the stone. The stone-cutting knife in his hand spun, like a butterfly weaving through flowers. Pieces of the stone fell off. The old man must have cut a lot of stones in his daily life. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so skilled. As the stone was continuously cut off, the fluctuations coming from the immortal origin stone became more and more intense. This made people feel shocked. Many people felt more and more that perhaps the Holy Spirit could be cut out from this immortal origin stone. The immortal origin stone continued to shrink. Before long, it had shrunk to half its original size. However, the Holy Spirit was still nowhere to be seen. The fluctuations have disappeared. A cultivator said. Indeed, the fluctuations really had disappeared. The old man's expression turned ugly. He knew very well what the disappearance of the fluctuations meant. The old man increased the speed at which he was cutting the stone. Not long after, a crisp sound was heard from the stone-cutting knife. No one knew what he had cut. He cut something. I wonder what it is. Many people couldn't help but wonder. Now, they naturally didn't think that it was the Holy Spirit. If it was, the fluctuations wouldn't have disappeared so quickly. In the end, the old man cut out the object. To everyone's surprise, it was indeed a Holy Spirit. However, it was a Holy Spirit that was in the process of being born. It wasn't a stone man, but a stone crocodile. Lin Feng was a knowledgeable person, but this was his first time seeing a stone crocodile. Any Holy Spirit that was born would be extremely heaven-defying. There was still a trace of life in the stone crocodile's body that hadn't dissipated. Clearly, it hadn't been long since it died. It must have just died. This made Lin Feng extremely surprised. It really is a Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. Is it the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan who said that I want the heavens to no longer cover my eyes and the earth to no longer bury my heart? A cultivator asked, puzzled. It shouldn't be. That Holy Spirit wasn't far from being born, but this stone crocodile is still in the process of being born. It'll take some time before it's born. Another cultivator said, the stone crocodile was still alive. Why did it lose all its vitality in such a short time? This is really strange. Another cultivator said, his face full of confusion. If the stone crocodile hadn't died and continued to be nurtured, it would have been able to become a powerful Holy Spirit. However, the stone crocodile's vitality had already been cut off. It had no value. Could it be that its vitality was cut off because it was born prematurely? A cultivator said. Although it's not the time for it to be born, the stone crocodile's body has already formed. Even if it's born prematurely, its vitality shouldn't have been cut off. Something unknown must have happened. A white-haired old man said, it's that terrifying Holy Spirit that destroyed the stone crocodile's vitality. A voice said. Everyone looked over. The person who spoke was none other than Lin Feng. Why is that Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan doing this? The destined prince looked at Lin Feng and asked, puzzled. Everyone else also looked at Lin Feng. That Holy Spirit might have exposed itself by doing that. Why did it risk destroying the stone crocodile's life? Many people were puzzled by the actions of the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. Chapter 46-45. Lin Feng said, this Holy Spirit is very overbearing. Of course, it can also be described as cruel and merciless. My guess is that he saw that the old senior was about to cut out the stone crocodile. So, to prevent the old senior from getting the stone crocodile, he killed the stone crocodile. In this way, although the old senior got the stone crocodile was useless. What benefits does he get by doing this? The old man was so angry that his whole body trembled. Although he had not been able to find the Holy Spirit, if he could get the stone crocodile, the harvest would still be huge. However, The Holy Spirit had killed the stone crocodile, so the old man did not get anything in the end. Naturally, the old man was incomparably angry. Now, he even had the thought of killing the Holy Spirit. There are no benefits. He simply doesn't want the stone creature to fall into the hands of the cultivators of other clans. Aren't there many clans who think highly of themselves and look down on other clans? The Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan obviously looks down on everyone here. He thinks that everyone here has a lowly bloodline. So, he would rather kill the stone creature than let it fall into the hands of the cultivators of other clans. Lin Feng said, "Young Master Xing, you said indifferently." "Kid, how can you say that? Who are you calling a lowly bloodline? You are talking about yourself, right?" Lin Feng had already felt the strong hostility from young Master Xingyu. He had already felt it when he first met young Master Xingyu. At that time, young Master Xingyu had wanted to kill him. Lin Feng guessed that it was because of the Ho Yi Bao. Now, young Master Xingyu was hostile towards him because of Nangong Muley. Lin Feng had heard that young Master Xingyu had been pursuing Nangong Muley. However, Nangong Muley did not pay much attention to young Master Xingyu. Moreover, Nangong Muley was quite enthusiastic towards him. This caused young Master Xingyu to be jealous. Lin Feng had seen too many people like young Master Xingyu. They hated people because of love, and they vented their anger on others. They thought that by getting rid of their competitors or potential dangers, they could win the heart of a beauty. But this idea was obviously very foolish. I'm just analyzing the thoughts of the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe from the perspective of the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe. As one of the 8 young masters of the Undying Realm, you can't even understand the meaning of my words? If that's the case, then it seems that Your Excellency has really insulted the reputation of the Undying Realm's 8 great young masters. Lin Feng replied indifferently. Since young Master Xingyu was asking for a scolding, Lin Feng would not hold back. "Brat, what did you say?" Young Master Xingyu's face turned gloomy. Very few people dared to be so presumptuous in front of him. Moreover, Lin Feng's words could not even be described as presumptuous. It was like a slap to his face. Naturally, young Master Xingyu was infuriated. He looked at Lin Feng with a murderous gaze. Young Master Xingyu and Lin Feng are fighting. One of them is one of the 8 great young masters of the Undying World, while the other is the Sinner Blood Emperor. I wonder what will happen if they fight. Many people couldn't help but get excited when they saw the two of them going against each other. If Lin Feng and young Master Xingyu were to fight, it would definitely be an exciting battle that would ignite everyone's blood. Don't you understand human language? Lin Feng looked at young Master Xingyu with a mocking gaze. Since they had already shed all pretenses of cordiality, there was no need to be polite with young Master Xingyu. Lin Feng hated young Master Xingyu's arrogant attitude. Did he really think that he was invincible just because he was one of the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm? What a joke. Very good. Very good. Very good. Young Master Xingyu said, "Very good," 3 times in a row. It was obvious that he was extremely angry. He walked towards Lin Feng step by step and said indifferently, "It has been a long time since I've seen someone who dares to provoke me. Since you want to die, I don't mind fulfilling your wish. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I'll kill you and replace your position as one of the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm." Lin Feng said indifferently. He was very strong and did not fear young Master Xingyu at all. "Both of you, this is the stone workshop of the 8-level palace. It's not a place for a battle. Please don't fight here." Young Master Mingyu said. Young Master Ming you naturally wanted young Master Xingyu to kill Lin Feng. However, this was not the place to do so. With Lin Feng and young Master Xingyu's cultivation, if they really fought, the stone workshop of the 8-level palace would be destroyed by the two of them. When that happened, the various immortal source stones in the stone workshop would definitely be lost. To the 8-level palace, such a loss would be too great. As a top genius of the 8-level palace, young Master Ming, you naturally had to protect the interests of the 8-level palace. I'll give young Master Ming you some face, and spare this lowly life today. Young Master Xing, you said indifferently. When he looked at Lin Feng, his gaze was still indifferent and contemptuous. He did not put Lin Feng in his eyes at all. In his opinion, if they really fought, he could easily kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered and did not reply to young Master Xingyu. Ning Xianwu was panting with anger. Young Master Xing, you was too arrogant. He did not put Lin Feng in his eyes at all. Killing Lin Feng was as easy as killing an ant for him. His tone was also arrogant and condescending. Such an arrogant attitude naturally infuriated others. Ning Xianwu felt that Lin Feng was not someone who would back down in the face of trouble. Hence, when she saw Lin Feng not rebutting the arrogant and self-righteous young Master Xingyu, Ning Xianwu was very surprised. Lin Feng, why don't you fight back? Is this still you? Ning Xianwu asked. Lin Feng said, I don't like to boast. I'll leave boasting to others. Many people could not help but laugh when they heard Lin Feng's words. Obviously, Lin Feng was mocking young Master Xingyu for boasting. Lin Feng was obviously not afraid of young Master Xingyu's provocation. When young Master Xingyu heard Lin Feng's words, the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch violently. At this moment, Lin Feng looked at Ning Xianwu and continued, Xianwu, remember something very important. What is it? Ning Xianwu asked curiously. When a dog bites a man must never bite a dog. Otherwise, a man is no longer a man, but a dog. Lin Feng said. When they heard Lin Feng's words, many people laughed, including Nangong Muley, Hualingxian, Mu Yasi, Su Yihan, Ning Xianwu, and other beauties. Young Master Xing, you had just said that he would spare Lin Feng's dog life on account of young Master Mingyu. Lin Feng did not respond to young Master Xingyu. Now, Lin Feng's answer to Ning Xianwu was obviously calling young Master Xingyu a dog. Moreover, he had just been bitten by this dog. Therefore, when faced with young Master Xingyu's provocation, he remained indifferent and did not refute. If he refuted young Master Xingyu, wouldn't it be like a man biting a dog? How could a man bite a dog? If a man bit a dog, would he still be a man? Chapter 9. Seeking monthly votes. Recommendation votes. Reward. Chapter 46-46. In terms of eloquence, even 10 young masters Xingyu added together might not be Lin Feng's match. Therefore, young Master Xingyu was so angry that his whole body trembled. He wished he could kill Lin Feng right there and then. However, this was the Ba Ji Palace's stone workshop, so he couldn't do anything. Therefore, no matter how much he hated Lin Feng, he could only suppress his hatred and murderous intent. Ant-like thing, I won't lower myself to your level now. Soon, you will know how stupid your current actions are. Young Master Xingyu said, hatefully. Lin Feng still ignored young Master Xingyu as if he didn't care. Perhaps it was because dogs could bite people, but people couldn't bite dogs. Lin Feng had compared young Master Xingyu to a dog, so he wouldn't refute him. Little friend, have you found out where the immortal source stone is? The old man asked with a gloomy expression. Normally, he wouldn't ask Lin Feng such a question. Even if he did, he believed that Lin Feng would most likely not answer. The reason he asked Lin Feng this question today was because the old man was too angry. The stone crocodile was about to be born, but its vitality had been destroyed by the stone clan's sacred spirit. This made the old man's efforts go to waste. In the end, it was all for naught. Therefore, the old man was naturally very angry. Lin Feng didn't feel that there was anything he couldn't say about this matter. Previously, he hadn't been able to determine where the immortal source stone was hidden by the stone clan's sacred spirit. Now, Lin Feng felt that he had sensed where the immortal source stone was hidden. It should be in the courtyard in front of him. The reason he made this judgment was because the stone clan's sacred spirit had silently killed the stone crocodile. If the distance was too far, it would be difficult to do it silently. If he attacked from too far away, regardless of whether he released his power or retracted it, the sacred spirit could sense it. Therefore, Lin Feng guessed that the stone clan's sacred spirit was hidden somewhere in the surroundings. He quickly took action and retracted the power he had released. The time was very short. In addition, everyone's attention was focused on cutting the stone, so he successfully deceived everyone and killed the stone crocodile. Lin Feng said, "I'm guessing that the stone tribe's holy spirit is hiding in this courtyard." After hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone was extremely shocked. If they were in this courtyard, then the target of the search would be much smaller. The faces of the 8 extreme palaces people turned green as they looked at Lin Feng with unfriendly gazes. They naturally didn't want these people to find the holy spirit of the stone tribe, because they wanted to find the holy spirit of the stone tribe by themselves. What are you waiting for? Quickly activate the restriction and seal off this courtyard. A white-haired old man said. This was an old antique expert. His words represented the thoughts of many people. Therefore, the people of the 8 extreme palace didn't dare to disobey. They could only activate the restrictions and seal the courtyard. As a result, the immortal origin stone that the Holy Spirit was hiding in was trapped in the courtyard. If that guy wanted to escape, he would have to try to break the restriction. With so many experts present, no matter how extraordinary that guy's methods were, he would need time to break the restriction. Therefore, when the time came, he would definitely be exposed. This Lin Feng is really amazing. He's so young, but his cultivation is so strong. He also has deep attainments in the stone discernment technique. He is Lin Baiqian's son. Back then, how amazing was his father? Therefore, I don't think it's strange that he has these abilities. He doesn't only have these abilities. I heard that he is also proficient in great formations and is an array grandmaster. The cultivators outside were discussing spiritedly. Because many people couldn't enter the courtyard, they could only stretch their necks to look inside. Many people were amazed by Lin Feng's extraordinary abilities. In addition, everyone was paying attention to the specific situation inside the courtyard. They didn't know who would be lucky enough to find the immortal origin stone that the stone tribe's holy spirit was hiding in. Naturally, everyone was very curious about this matter. The courtyard was very large, spanning several thousand square meters. It was the largest stone workshop in Ba Ji Palace. Therefore, there were a lot of immortal origin stones here. Immortal origin stones were precious, but the immortal origin stones here were even more precious. Wanting to cut all the immortal origin stones here was not a very realistic thing. These were the immortal origin stones that Ba Ji Palace had accumulated over many years. Little friend, do you think this immortal origin stone is worth everything? A white-haired old man took a fancy to this immortal origin stone and asked Lin Feng for help. Lin Feng said, "Senior, do you plan to cut the stone tribe's holy spirit out?" The old man said, "This kind of thing can't be forced." This old man is very open-minded. Lin Feng said, "Senior's attitude is very good. Since you have such an attitude, you can cut this immortal origin stone." Hearing this, The old man nodded. The immortal origin stone was worth 430,000 immortal stones. It was very expensive. The old man paid the price. Then, he took out a stone-cutting knife and began to cut the stone. Swoosh, swoosh. The old man's technique was very skillful. Pieces of the stone began to peel off. Many cultivators gathered around to watch the show. They did not know if this immortal origin stone could really be cut into some immortal origin stones. Naturally, many people doubted Lin Feng's stone-discerning technique. After all, Lin Feng was very young. It was not easy for his cultivation to be extraordinary. Could it be that he had other thoughts to research other things? Before cutting the stone, Lin Feng gave the old antique some pointers. Perhaps from a certain point of view, they could see how Lin Feng's methods were. As the stone continued to peel off, the surface area of the immortal origin stone rapidly shrank. However, nothing was cut out. There was a commotion in the surrounding area. Many people were discussing in private. They felt that perhaps nothing would be cut out this time. When the stone had shrunk to the size of a bowl, everyone was even more certain of this matter. The old antique who was cutting the stone could not help but frown. He did not blame Lin Feng. This was because he had chosen this immortal origin stone himself. He had asked Lin Feng whether or not to cut this immortal origin stone. No one had forced him to do so. Moreover, cutting the stone was a matter of probability. No matter how powerful the stone-discerning technique was, it could not guarantee that something would be cut out. In reality, the probability of something being cut out was very small. When the last knife was cut, the old antique expert no longer held any hope in his heart. However, when the knife was cut halfway, the cracked immortal origin stone emitted a faint golden energy. A refreshing fragrance wafted out from the cracked immortal origin stone. Chapter 46-47. The old man could not help but reveal a shocked expression, followed by a burst of ecstasy. When he smelled that special fragrance, the old man felt as if he had become a few thousand years younger. This feeling was too comfortable. Although they did not know what was sealed within the immortal source stone, it was definitely extremely precious. Although we still don't know what it is, the fragrance is very special. After smelling it, I felt my body become incomparably comfortable. It's definitely an amazing treasure. Yeah, the thing inside is definitely heaven-defying. We'll know what kind of treasure it is in a while. Lin Feng gave that old antique some pointers before, asking him to cut open that stone. Was he just lucky, or is he really proficient in the stone discernment technique? Those top prodigies all highly praise Lin Feng's stone discernment technique. It seems like he really is proficient in the stone discernment technique. I really don't know what this guy has been through all these years. At such a young age, his cultivation is already so tyrannical. It's already unbelievable that he has such profound attainments in the stone discernment technique. It's really admirable. Yeah, it's really admirable. It seems like the rumors about his extraordinary attainments in formations are also true. Many cultivators started talking. They all looked at Lin Feng in awe and respect. Lin Feng was a bit stronger than before, because Lin Feng's methods were too extraordinary. Such a person would naturally be respected. Finally, the old antique expert carefully cut open the immortal source stone. The thing inside the immortal source stone was also revealed to everyone. The thing inside the immortal source stone was a silver silkworm. On the silkworm's back, there were traces of blood. It was very strange. What surprised everyone was that the silver silkworm was actually still alive. Silver blood silkworm. After seeing the silver silkworm, many people could not help but exclaim, their faces filled with disbelief. This was a legendary spiritual object. It was said that the silver blood silkworm was very precious. If the silver blood silkworm was used as the main ingredient to refine the silver blood life prolonging pill, it could increase one's lifespan by 100,000 years. It should be known that the immortal pills that could increase one's lifespan by a few thousand years were already very heaven-defying. If the silver blood silkworm was used as the main ingredient to refine a pill that could increase one's lifespan by 100,000 years, it was really heaven-defying. Of course, no one would use the silver blood silkworm to refine this kind of elixir because they would carry it with them when they cultivated. The aura emitted by the silver blood silkworm could subtly change a cultivator's body. At the same time, a cultivator's lifespan would also gradually increase. Many people wanted to find spirit insects, like the silver blood silkworm. However, no one could find the silver blood silkworm. The main reason was that after the end of the era, many natural treasures and living beings had disappeared. It was not like the early epoch when resources were abundant and there were many races. Therefore, many of the heavenly treasures and earthly treasures that originally existed, as well as some races and living beings, had now become existences in myths and legends. The old man was naturally very excited. Even though he couldn't find the holy spirit of the stone tribe, he was still able to obtain a silver blood silkworm. This was a great harvest, not to mention 400,000 immortal stones. This old man wouldn't even sell it for 40 million immortal stones. This was a priceless treasure. Thank you for your guidance, little friend. I am Situ Xingxing. I am from the reclusive Situ clan. If you have any problems in the future, you can come find me. I might be able to solve your problems. The old man was very grateful to Lin Feng for obtaining the silver blood silkworm. So he smiled and said, "So it is Senior Situ. This junior didn't do anything earlier." Lin Feng politely said. The old man only smiled. There was no need for words. The surrounding cultivators exclaimed. Earlier, everyone saw how Lin Feng taught Situ Xingxing how to cut the stones. Lin Feng's stone identification technique was absolutely amazing, causing everyone to be shocked. Many people went to pick the stones they liked. Then they went to Lin Feng and asked Lin Feng if they should cut the stones they found. Under normal circumstances, Lin Feng wouldn't have taught them anything. However, this was the stone workshop of the 8 Extreme Palace. Lin Feng and the 8 Extreme Palace didn't have a good relationship. Both sides were enemies. Lin Feng wanted to trick the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop. Therefore, when people came to ask him, Lin Feng would usually give them some guidance. This led to a very interesting scene. Whenever Lin Feng shook his head, those cultivators would immediately throw away the stones they chose. However, whenever Lin Feng nodded, those cultivators would cut the stones they chose. Of course, Lin Feng's choice of stone wasn't 100% guaranteed to yield a good item, although they didn't have a 100% success rate. In the end, they still had a 90% success rate, and this probability was obviously very shocking. After seeing this scene, the faces of the cultivators in the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop turned green. This was because the stones that Lin Feng judged to be useless were thrown to the ground like garbage. Many good things were taken away by those cultivators. This time, the loss of the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop was too big. Moreover, it was foreseeable that after the stone cutting, many people wouldn't patronize the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop anymore. This was because everyone would feel that the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop had lost a lot of good things. There was no need to continue cutting stones in the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop. If they continued to cut stones in the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop, they might go bankrupt in the end. After thinking about this possibility, many people in the 8 Extreme Palace's stone workshop even had the thought of killing Lin Feng. However, they naturally couldn't do such a thing. Even if they hated him in their hearts, they couldn't do it. They also couldn't do anything to Lin Feng. Otherwise, the reputation of the 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop would be completely ruined. Moreover, many people had received Lin Feng's kindness. If they were to do something to Lin Feng now, the people in the 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop felt that these cultivators would tear down the 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop. Lin Feng was strolling in the courtyard. He was also looking for immortal source stones that were worth cutting. In addition, Lin Feng was also looking for immortal source stones where the Holy Spirit was hiding. However, the Holy Spirit was very cunning. Its concealment method was also very brilliant. Therefore, even after searching for a long time, Lin Feng still couldn't find where it was hiding. At this moment, Lin Feng stopped in front of a stone and looked at it. Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal an extremely astonished expression. Could it be that he wants to cut the stone? Many cultivators couldn't help but talk to themselves. Everyone was surrounding the stone. Lin Feng's stone discernment technique was unparalleled in the world. Even those old antiques were far inferior to him. However, Lin Feng didn't choose any immortal source stones before. Now, he revealed an astonished expression when he saw the immortal source stone in front of him. Chapter 46-48. What is the price of this immortal source stone? Lin Feng asked. 880,000 immortal stones. The elder in charge of the stone workshop said with a gloomy expression. He really wanted to say that this immortal origin stone was the most precious treasure of the academy. Therefore, he wouldn't peddle it because he felt that Lin Feng's stone identification skills were superb. The immortal origin stone that he had his eyes on definitely had some good stuff. If he cut it open himself, the workshop would definitely obtain something extraordinary. However, he couldn't casually say such words. Even if it was for the reputation of Baji Palace, he couldn't say such words. Good. I want it, Lin Feng said. Next, he waved his hand, and a river of 880,000 immortal stones flew out. The elder of the 8 Extreme Palaces stone workshop put away the immortal stone with a gloomy expression. Will this immortal origin stone yield anything extraordinary? Ning Xianwu asked curiously. Lin Feng said, Let's give it a try. I'm not sure. Lin Feng took out his stone-cutting knife. Swish, swish. Stone chips were constantly being cut down. Lin Feng was naturally very familiar with cutting stones. The size of the stone continued to decrease. It continued to shrink, but nothing appeared. There wasn't any special aura either. Everyone couldn't help but mutter, while Lin Feng was teaching others how to cut stones. Many people obtained good things. When it was his turn to cut the stone, could it be that the first cut would end in failure? This situation was not impossible to discover. Some cultivators who had grievances with Lin Feng wished that Lin Feng would not be able to cut anything. Clang! Suddenly, Lin Feng's stone-cutting knife seemed to have cut a metal surface, and a sonorous collision sound was heard. I found something, many people couldn't help but exclaim. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but become heated. They wondered what good things Lin Feng had cut out. It must be extraordinary, right? Not long after, Lin Feng cut out the item inside the immortal origin stone. Everyone looked over and discovered that what Lin Feng had cut out was actually a small fragment of a broken sword. This surprised many people. Buzz. At this moment, an extremely terrifying aura was emitted from the broken sword. That aura seemed to be able to split open the 9 heavens world in an instant. This aura was too frightening. Many people couldn't help but be frightened. They had never seen such a heaven-defying broken sword. How could a broken sword emit such a terrifying aura? What kind of expert was able to forge such an extraordinary sword? Presumably, when the broken sword was complete, it must have been heaven-defying to an unimaginable degree. Master of the Six Paths, I am the Ghost Lord. Master of the Six Paths, I am the Ghost Lord. Lin Feng stood in place, his face full of disbelief. This was because one voice after another came out of the broken sword. The broken sword kept repeating the phrase, Master of the Six Tao, I am the Wraith Lord. What did he mean by that? Could it be that this broken sword was a supreme treasure forged by a ghost lord in the past? Perhaps this broken sword hid a great secret. Perhaps this broken sword could find the whereabouts of that ghost lord. A ghost lord might not necessarily be the master of the Six Paths. However, if the master of the Six Paths was also a ghost lord, then this ghost lord would definitely be an unimaginably heaven-defying existence. He would definitely be ranked among the top experts of this era. Therefore, if he could find the legacy of this ghost lord, he would be able to do so. It would definitely be a great opportunity. The broken sword seemed to want to fly away. Lin Feng quickly used the 8 soul sealing seals to seal the broken sword. Only then did the broken sword's terrifying aura disappear. Lin Feng let out a long sigh and put away the broken sword. Seeing how careful Lin Feng was with the broken sword, many people couldn't help but mutter in their hearts. That broken sword was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, Lin Feng might know the origin of that broken sword, which was why he was treating it so seriously. Perhaps the meaning behind the broken sword could not be measured by the value of a broken sword. You still haven't told us what that broken sword is, Ning Xianwu said. Everyone was very curious and wanted to know the origin of the broken sword. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't tell them. He looked at Ning Xianwu and said, I'll tell you when we get back. Okay. Ning Xianwu smiled and nodded. Her appearance was so beautiful that it was suffocating. The surrounding cultivators dispersed and continued to look for immortal origin stones that they wanted. Lin Feng saw that Su Yihan was also looking for immortal origin stones. He glanced at the immortal origin stone that Su Yihan chose and said, Your immortal origin stone isn't good. Choose that one over there. Lin Feng pointed at a nearby immortal origin stone and said, Su Yihan snorted. Seeing Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu together, she couldn't help but feel jealous. Therefore, she ignored Lin Feng. However, Su Yihan still obediently listened to Lin Feng's words. She gave up on the immortal origin stone that Lin Feng chose for her. She bought that immortal origin stone. She then cut open that immortal origin stone. A golden jade crown was cut out from that immortal origin stone. That golden jade crown was clearly an extraordinary treasure. It emitted an extremely shocking fluctuation. Su Yihan's beautiful face revealed a happy expression. She hurriedly sacrificed the golden jade crown. After Su Yihan sacrificed the golden jade crown, Su Yihan's beautiful face revealed an even more happy expression. Obviously, after sacrificing the golden jade crown, Su Yihan knew what kind of treasure that golden jade crown was. Perhaps the value of the golden jade crown far exceeded Su Yihan's imagination. That was why Su Yihan revealed such a happy expression. At this time, Lin Feng was also looking for his next target. He looked at many immortal origin stones. Some immortal origin stones did indeed have something sealed within them. However, those immortal origin stones didn't attract Lin Feng's interest. Finally, Lin Feng stopped in front of a relatively large immortal origin stone. This immortal origin stone was 5 or 6 meters tall. Its width and thickness were 3 or 4 meters. In the beginning, Lin Feng didn't discover anything special about this immortal origin stone. However, when Lin Feng tried to sense this large immortal origin stone for the second time, Lin Feng discovered there was a very weak fluctuation inside the immortal origin stone. This attracted Lin Feng's attention. The fluctuation was very obscure. If one didn't carefully sense it, they wouldn't be able to sense it. What is sealed inside? Lin Feng couldn't help but say to himself. He had a strong intuition. The thing sealed inside was definitely extraordinary. Chapter 46-49. How much is this immortal source stone? Lin Feng looked at the 8 Extreme Palaces elder and asked, 1 million immortal source stones. The 8 Extreme Palaces elder angrily said. When he looked at Lin Feng, he looked at Lin Feng with a sidelong glance. If he could kill Lin Feng with a single palm strike, the 8 Extreme Palaces elder would not hesitate to kill Lin Feng. What an expensive immortal source stone! Many of the surrounding cultivators could not help but cry out in alarm. 1 million immortal source stones was indeed an astonishing price. It could be described as a sky-high price. In such a large stone shop, there were not many immortal source stones that could reach a price of more than 2 million immortal source stones. However, 2 million immortal source stones was just a drop in the ocean for Lin Feng. Lin Feng waved his hand, and a river of immortal source stones flew out. A total of 1 million immortal source stones were collected by the 8 Extreme Palaces elder. Lin Gongzi is going to cut the stone again. Soon, the news spread, and the scattered cultivators in the courtyard gathered towards Lin Feng's location. This stone is actually worth 1 million immortal source stones. That's too expensive. What do you think is inside? Ning Xianwu curiously asked. Lin Feng smiled and said, You'll know after cutting it open. This was the second immortal source stone that Lin Feng personally cut. Because Lin Feng had fully demonstrated how powerful his stone discernment technique was, everyone knew that Lin Feng had chosen this immortal source stone because he was confident in it. I also took a fancy to this immortal source stone before, but the price was too high and I was not willing to cut it. If I had known earlier, I would have asked little friend Lin. A cultivator lamented. Seeing that Lin Feng was about to cut the immortal source stone, he was somewhat vexed. If he had asked Lin Feng earlier, he might have been the one cutting the immortal source stone. We can go look for other immortal source stones later and ask little friend Lin's opinion, a cultivator said. The cultivator nodded and looked at Lin Feng, waiting for Lin Feng to cut the immortal source stone. Various top-notch geniuses, fairies, and many white-haired old antiques had already surrounded the area so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Stone fragments continuously fell off the stone. The immortal source stone's surface was constantly shrinking. Not long after, the immortal source stone emitted a suffocating and terrifying killing intent. That killing intent was too shocking. After feeling that killing intent, many people were unable to control their bodies. Heavens, God! Heavens! What is it, that thing? Many people couldn't help but reveal a horrified expression because this murderous intent was too terrifying. It was simply unbelievable. Retreat quickly. Don't get too close. Otherwise, we might suffer a calamity, some cultivators said. Many cultivators retreated to a safe distance. The aura of the immortal source stone had just been emitted, and it was already so terrifying. They couldn't imagine how terrifying the aura of the thing inside the immortal source stone would be when it was born. Only a few powerful cultivators were able to resist the terrifying killing intent emitted from the immortal source stone. They did not choose to retreat. Instead, they stared at the immortal source stone. They were extremely interested in the thing inside the immortal source stone. Lin Feng was not affected by the killing intent because Lin Feng cultivated Qi aura. Qi aura could neutralize all kinds of aura. Killing intent, to put it bluntly, was also a kind of aura oppression. Therefore, it was not difficult for Lin Feng to neutralize this terrifying killing intent. Lin Feng continued to cut the immortal source stone. The The surface area of the immortal source stone was still rapidly shrinking. Not long after, a black devil saber appeared in his line of sight. Many people were shocked. Lin Feng had actually cut out the tip of a devil saber. What did this mean? Could it be that the immortal source stone sealed a devil saber? The devil saber emitted a terrifying aura. The aura emitted from the immortal source stone was the aura of the devil saber. After being sealed for so long, it's still so terrifying. That devil saber is definitely an extremely heaven-defying treasure. Someone said his eyes could no longer move away from the devil saber. Now, some cultivators even wanted to rush forward and snatch the devil saber. Then, they would quickly leave this place. However, those cultivators quickly cut off such thoughts. There were so many experts here. Many of them had received guidance from Lin Feng and obtained good things when cutting the immortal source stone. Therefore, if they tried to snatch the treasures from Lin Feng only needed to say a word, and they would be besieged. They would not be able to escape unscathed. Lin Feng continued to cut off the devil sabers surrounding devil saber. Not long after, everyone saw a shocking scene. There was more than one devil saber sealed in the immortal source stone. There was also a cultivator sealed in it. That was because a part of the cultivator's body had already appeared. As for the incomparably sharp devil saber, it pierced through the cultivator's body. That cultivator died tragically because of that. Lin Feng was also very shocked. He did not expect that the immortal source stone would seal a cultivator who had been stabbed to death by the devil's saber. Lin Feng continued to cut the immortal source stone. Finally, he completely peeled off the immortal source stone. The cultivator's body was completely revealed, dead but not fallen. Seeing the corpse, everyone felt incredulous. That cultivator seemed to have died standing. This is a middle-aged cultivator. At that moment, someone continued to say, this cultivator was a middle-aged cultivator. Back then, he must have been an earth-shattering figure. Unfortunately, his heart was pierced by a saber, and he died because of that. His eyes were tightly closed. He stood in the courtyard. Although he was only a corpse, he emitted a suffocating pressure. Who was he when he was alive? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. He wanted to try to investigate the origin of this corpse. Lin Feng saw the storage ring on his hand. That storage ring had been sealed in the immortal source stone for a long time. Presumably, the storage ring on his hand had not been destroyed because of that. Perhaps he could find out his origin from the storage ring. Moreover, he could also find some shocking things in the storage ring, such as some powerful treasures or ancient inheritances. However, just as Lin Feng was about to take action, an extremely terrifying pressure enveloped Lin Feng's body. At that moment, Lin Feng felt as if he had fallen into hell. He looked in the direction of the pressure. There, an old man had appeared out of nowhere. That old man was a terrifying true immortal. Chapter 4650. Lin Feng didn't know who that true immortal old man was. However, that old man looked somewhat hateful. With such a silent threat, Lin Feng didn't dare to act rashly. After all, the old man was a true immortal expert. Lin Feng didn't want to make an enemy out of such an expert for the time being. He raised his eyebrows and stood where he was without moving. Meanwhile, the old man walked step by step towards the expert's corpse. It's the old ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace. At this time, a cultivator recognized the old man's identity. This was an old ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace. Moreover, he was an expert with a strong foundation. Breaking out from the Godstone and looking down at the myriad worlds, this person was definitely an unimaginably terrifying existence. Logically speaking, Lin Feng was cutting the stone in the Ba Ji Palace's workshop. Therefore, no matter what Lin Feng cut, the people of the Ba Ji Palace wouldn't act against Lin Feng. If the Ba Ji Palace did so, then the reputation of the Ba Ji Palace would be completely ruined. The Ba Ji Palace's workshop wouldn't be able to continue operating. However, the old ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace didn't care about these things at all. He still did things his own way. After all, he was a true immortal expert and could do things as he pleased. Moreover, no matter what he did, the cultivators of the Ba Ji Palace wouldn't dare to say anything. The other cultivators also didn't dare to say anything. This was because he was strong enough. The world of cultivators had always been like this. The strong were respected, and the weak were destined to be bullied by the strong. Dead but not fallen, the body is immortal. This body is perfect. Perhaps it's not inferior to the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. The old ancestor's voice was indifferent. His words made his intentions clear. This old fart might have taken a fancy to this expert's corpse, so he wanted to refine this expert's corpse into something similar to his external incarnation. This expert's corpse was indeed terrifying. If it was refined into an avatar, it would be extremely terrifying. The corpse exuded an extremely terrifying pressure. Ordinary people would not be able to withstand such pressure. However, that pressure was nothing to the old ancestor of the 8 Extreme Palace. He easily resisted that terrifying pressure. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor smoothly arrived in front of the corpse. He grabbed the demonic saber. Then he wanted to pull the demonic blade out of the corpse, but he found that the demonic blade didn't move at all. This made the old ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace reveal a surprised expression. Then his face sank slightly. He actually failed to pull out the demonic blade, which made him feel embarrassed. Magic power swirled around his palm. He used his own magic power to pull out the demonic blade. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor slowly pulled out the demonic blade. Blood flowed out from the corpse's wounds. Why is it blood? Many people were puzzled. Logically speaking, after being dead for such a long time, the blood in the body should have already solidified. However, that was not the case. The blood flowing out of the corpse was still fresh blood. It was truly inconceivable. Lin Feng also felt that this scene was inconceivable. He suddenly remembered that before he cut the immortal source stone, he felt a special fluctuation from it. Although it was very weak, the fluctuation was very real. Lin Feng finally knew what that faint fluctuation was. That faint fluctuation should be the fluctuation of life. Could it be? Lin Feng thought of a certain possibility, and he felt his heart beat violently. If that possibility was true, didn't it mean that the corpse hadn't truly died? Lin Feng didn't know if his guess was correct or not, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he continued to observe the corpse. If it was as he guessed, and the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was after him, would he let the old ancestor go? What a good blade! This demonic blade is absolutely heaven-defying. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor observed the demonic blade in his hand, and his face couldn't help but reveal a look of joy. Even with his experience, he was attracted by the demonic blade in his hand. That demonic blade was absolutely heaven-defying. It was enough to drive people crazy. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was about to put the corpse into his storage ring. Suddenly, that expert's corpse actually opened its eyes. It was a pair of blood-red eyes. However, the blood-red light in those eyes was dissipating bit by bit. Not long after, all the blood-red light completely dissipated. That pair of eyes returned to normal. However, his eyes looked very confused. Who am I? Where am I? He muttered to himself. He seemed to have forgotten his identity. Then he looked at his chest, which was still bleeding profusely. Why am I injured? The expert couldn't help but mutter to himself. He's resurrected. He's actually resurrected. At this moment, the surrounding cultivators were in an uproar. A cultivator who had been dead for God knows how many years had actually come back to life. This was simply too inconceivable. However, all of this was happening right in front of his eyes. Even though he felt that it was extremely inconceivable, even though it was unbelievable, they couldn't help but believe what they saw with their own eyes. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was obviously very shocked. However, he reacted quickly. Before the resurrected expert could recover, he had already sent a palm strike at him. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor took advantage of this great opportunity to suppress the resurrected expert. It seemed that he still wanted to refine this expert into his external incarnation. Moreover, using a living body to refine an external incarnation was definitely many times more effective than using a dead body to refine an external incarnation. Just as the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was about to attack the resurrected expert, the demonic blade in his hand suddenly fluctuated violently. The demonic blade instantly broke free from the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor's grasp and then slashed at him. Lin Feng used the army mantra. He used the army mantra to control the demonic blade to attack the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. Damn it! The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor couldn't help but roar in anger. His eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. He was almost angered to death. He was about to succeed, but someone had ruined it. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor had no choice but to resist the demonic blade's attack. With a wave of his hand, endless demonic aura gushed out and bombarded the demonic blade, sending it flying. "It's you!" The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor looked at Lin Feng. This old fart's perception was very strong. He could sense who had attacked him just now. "I'll destroy you." The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was furious. Shouted the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace furiously. He threw himself at Lin Feng. Chapter 46:51. Shameless old thing. Have a taste of this little grandpa's arrow first. When Lin Feng saw the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace, he took out his Ho Yi Bao and godly shooting arrows. Then he pulled the bow and released the arrow. An arrow was shot towards the old ancestor. Although Lin Feng knew that it would be difficult to kill the old ancestor, Lin Feng still wanted to thoroughly disgust this old thing. Moreover, Lin Feng was confident that he could leave this place smoothly after disgust the old ancestor. "After killing you, this Ho Yi Bao and sunshot divine arrow will be mine." The old ancestor of the Baji Palace looked indifferent. He took out a battle spear and swung it at the sunshot divine arrow that was shooting towards him. Clang! Along with the sound of collision, the war spear in the old ancestor's hand collided with the sunshot divine arrow shot by Lin Feng. The old ancestor was worthy of being a true immortal expert. His combat strength was truly heaven-defying. The war spear in his hand swept away the sunshot divine arrow shot by Lin Feng. "Ant-like thing, your time of death has come." The old ancestor looked at Lin Feng with an indifferent expression. "Old thing, look behind you." Lin Feng said. At this time, the old ancestor felt a terrifying aura behind him. He turned around and saw the resurrected mysterious expert holding the demonic saber looking at him. "Are you the one who injured me?" The resurrected expert looked coldly at the old ancestor. The old ancestor said, "It has nothing to do with me. I'm the one who saved you. If I hadn't pulled the demonic saber out of your body, you wouldn't have been resurrected." Because this person had just been resurrected, he couldn't even remember who he was. Obviously, his brain wasn't very bright. Therefore, this was the best time to trick him. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor clearly wanted to trick this resurrected expert. Lin Feng cursed in his heart. This shameless old thing's skin was as thick as a city wall. How could he say such words? Don't you feel ashamed? Upon hearing the old ancestor's words, the resurrected expert said indifferently, "You wanted to suppress me earlier. You think I don't know? That was a misunderstanding. I thought you had already turned into a Een corpse. That's why I wanted to suppress you. But now, brother, you haven't turned into a Een corpse. To be able to see brother recover to his original state, I'm sincerely happy for you," the old ancestor of Baji Palace said. Lin Feng wasn't the only one cursing the Baji Palace's old ancestor for being shameless. Many people were cursing the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor for being shameless in their hearts. Where was the heroic spirit of a true immortal? How could he be so shameless as to deceive that expert who had just been resurrected? Did he not feel ashamed? The newly resurrected expert sneered. "Although I've just been resurrected, I can still clearly distinguish between right and wrong. Take this." As soon as he finished speaking, the newly resurrected powerhouse held his saber with both hands. Then he slashed at the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. When he slashed out with his saber, a shocking scene appeared. Countless saber shadows appeared around him. Every saber shadow was abnormally terrifying, and it emitted a shockwave that caused people to be involuntarily aghast. The endless saber shadows instantly fused into the demonic saber. Then, a dazzling saber light flew out from the demonic saber. It quickly slashed at the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. A single slash can manifest billions of saber shadows. The demonic saber is terrifying, and so is his strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to activate the power of the demonic saber. Moreover, he's just been resurrected. His combat power is probably incomparable to his peak state. Even so, his combat power is still so terrifying. It's hard to imagine how terrifying his combat power was when he was at his peak state. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder when he saw the resurrected expert attack. The resurrected expert was indeed too terrifying. With a single slash of his saber, nothing was left. Anyone who faced this terrifying saber would feel their hair stand on end. Feeling the power of this saber, the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was obviously shocked. Perhaps he never thought that the newly resurrected expert would have such terrifying combat power. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor's reaction was extremely fast. When the terrifying saber light slashed at him, he held the war spear with both hands and directly slashed at the incoming saber light. The war spear in his hand collided with the saber light, and the saber light's power reached an incredible level. It directly blasted the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor away. Then the resurrected expert once again slashed out a saber light. The second saber light quickly flew toward the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. Once again, it slashed at the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor had just been sent flying, so he was caught off guard by the second saber light attack. Fortunately, he reacted in time. When the dazzling blade light slashed towards him, he held the battle spear with both hands and swept the battle spear in front of him to block the terrifying blade light that had already arrived. Clang! Along with the violent sound of metal colliding, the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor slammed into the spear. The saber light directly slashed at the war spear. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was sent flying. His hands holding the war spear were shattered, and blood immediately flowed out. At this time, the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor suddenly felt an extremely dangerous aura coming from behind. He looked behind him and saw that the sunshot divine arrow was already shooting towards him at high speed. Lin Feng had already shot the sunshot divine arrow the moment the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor was sent flying by the resurrected expert. "I'll take your life while you're sick." It wouldn't be easy to kill the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. But now, Lin Feng saw the opportunity to kill the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor. If he could kill a true immortal expert, naturally it would be a great harvest. Moreover, if this old thing fell, it would definitely be a huge blow to the 8 Extreme Palace. "You little bastard! How dare you sneak attack me?" Seeing the sunshot divine arrow shooting toward him at high speed, the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor roared in anger. Now, it was too late for him to block the sun-slaying divine arrow, because the sun-slaying divine arrow was about to hit him. Therefore, he could only choose to dodge the sunshot divine arrow's attack. He quickly moved to the right. Bang! The next moment, the sunshot divine arrow shot the 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor's left arm. The 8 Extreme Palace's old ancestor's left arm instantly exploded. Chapter 46:52. Everyone couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. Lin Feng had actually shattered one of the ancestor's arms with a single arrow. This was a huge blow to the ancestor. The power of Lin Feng's arrow just now was too frightening, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. Previously, everyone had heard that Lin Feng wielded the Ho-I Bao, and that the sun-slaying divine arrow displayed a terrifying combat strength. However, they only had a relative concept in their minds. They didn't know what level Lin Feng wielded the Ho-I Bao and the sun-slaying divine arrow displayed. Only now did they know that even a true immortal expert could die in the hands of Lin Feng if they weren't careful. "I'm going to kill you." The ancestor was furious. He was a true immortal expert, yet one of his arms was crippled by Lin Feng. Now that he was severely injured, it was a huge blow to the old ancestor of the 8 Extreme Palace. Naturally, he couldn't accept all this. His murderous intent soared to the sky, and he couldn't wait to kill Lin Feng. Shouted the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace furiously. He wanted to kill Lin Feng, but at that moment, the strong cultivator, who had just come back to life, was already attacking him. He held a demonic saber in his hand, and the saber tore through the sky. The power of the demonic saber left everyone aghast. No one dared to underestimate the power of the demonic saber. The ancestor was already suppressed by the saber before he was injured, let alone now. It was extremely difficult for him to resist the opponent's attack. The ancestor had no choice but to brandish his war spear to block the expert's attack. However, with only one arm left, it was even more difficult for him to resist. He was sent flying by the saber and spat out a mouthful of blood from the impact. This old thing doesn't care about the rules at all. He's simply suffering the consequences of his own actions. He's a real celestial cultivator, but he can't do as he pleases. Lin Feng's arrow broke his arm, and the strong cultivator who came back to life oppressed him. I wonder if he'll be killed. The fall of a true immortal expert will definitely be a heavy blow to the 8 Extreme Palace. It's better that this old thing is dead. A rule breaker like him is still alive. Now that he's targeting Lin Gongzi, who knows if he'll target us in the future? Many people couldn't help but discuss. Many were on Lin Feng's side. After all, they had received Lin Feng's kindness while they had no relationship with the 8 Extreme Palace's ancestor. Of course, they hoped Lin Feng would be able to kill the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace. At that moment, the sunshot godly arrow flew back into Lin Feng's hand. Lin, the ancestor. T. Estes. Lin Feng quickly moved to the side and dodged young Master Mingyu's sword. Lin Feng raised his brows and said, It seems like young Master Ming Yu can't wait any longer and wants to take action. You've gone too far, young Master Ming Yu said with an indifferent expression. Among the 8 young masters of the undying world, young Master Ming Yu was one of the more profound ones. Therefore, young Master Ming Yu rarely took action. If he really wanted to deal with others, he would think of ways to scheme against the other party instead of personally taking action. But today, young Master Ming Yu personally took action. It was clear that he knew how big of a threat Lin Feng was. He must stop Lin Feng. However, he didn't continue to attack Lin Feng. Although he wanted to kill Lin Feng, he didn't want to personally kill Lin Feng. Moreover, young Master Xing Yu also wanted to kill Lin Feng, so he planned to let young Master Xing Yu take action. Therefore, after stopping Lin Feng from continuing to deal with the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace, young Master Ming Yu didn't plan to take action again. Many people knew that young Master Ming Yu was a scheming person. Now that young Master Ming Yu didn't take action after stopping Lin Feng, many people muttered in their hearts. They felt that the rumors were true. Many people guessed that young Master Ming Yu wanted to leave Lin Feng for young Master Xing Yu to deal with. This was an open conspiracy. Others couldn't say anything. Young Master Xing Yu also guessed young Master Ming Yu's thoughts. A sneer appeared on his face. He was quite disdainful of young Master Ming Yu's actions. Moreover, young Master Xing Yu felt that young Master Ming Yu, who was good at scheming, had gone astray on the path of martial arts. His future achievements would definitely be far inferior to his. At this very moment, the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace was forced into an extremely sorry state by the resurrected expert. There were several deep wounds on his body that exposed his bones. He was trembling with anger. He was an expert with a strong foundation. How could his cultivation be so terrifying, even if he couldn't sweep the world with an invincible posture? However, he couldn't be defeated so miserably. Now, the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace felt that he had become the laughingstock of many people. This made him gnash his teeth in hatred. The 2 of you, are you still not coming out? Kill this person. I only want his physical body, his demonic saber, and the various treasures in his storage ring. I won't even take the ancient inheritance. The ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace shouted in a deep voice. After hearing the shout of the ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace, many people were shocked. Could there be other true immortals here? Swoosh, swoosh. The void trembled slightly. Then 2 old men appeared. One of them was skinny and wore a black robe. He looked like an old ghost that had crawled out of hell. His aura was gloomy and terrifying. The other man was tall and burly. He had a full beard and looked quite arrogant. He looked a little like the golden mane lion king Xiesun. The aura of the 2 men was deep and terrifying. Obviously, they were true immortal experts. Lin Feng was shocked. Why were there so many true immortals in Black Sand City? Could it be that they were all attracted by the Black Sand Devil Prison? Perhaps there was such a possibility. Generally, these experts with strong foundations rarely came out. Only a change in a place like the Black Sand Devil Prison could attract them. That skinny old man is the ancestor of the Black Sand region, Chu Jiuling. He's also a hidden expert of the Black Sand region. That tall and burly cultivator is the ancestor of the Weak Water region, crazy immortal ancestor. Someone said they recognized the identity of the 2 men. Both of them had extraordinary identities. However, as hidden experts, they didn't participate in the war against the Sinner's Blood Alliance. These hidden experts were now a group of very special existences. They weren't under the command of the Heavenly Emperor. Moreover, they were above their respective families. They did things as they pleased. Now, they were only working hard to defy the heavens and change their fate. Unless their families were in danger of being exterminated, they would only help. Now that he saw the ancestors of the Black Sand region and Weak Water region, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Chapter 46:53. Of course, Lin Feng hoped that the strong cultivator who had come back to life would win, because if that expert were to be defeated, then those three undying, true, immortal experts would definitely make a move against him. However, that expert had just been resurrected, and his combat strength had not recovered at all. Facing the siege of three true immortals, it was really hard to say whether he could withstand the attacks of three true immortals. Lin Feng's expression could not help but become solemn. Is your demonic saber the sun-slaying demonic saber? Rumor has it that it's a demonic saber forged from the sun-slaying demonic stone. It's a supreme treasure that surpasses an immortal artifact. The patriarch of the Black Sand region looked at the demonic saber in the expert's hand with a sinister gaze. The aura of this old thing was so sinister and terrifying that many people could not help but mutter. Could it be that the patriarch of the Black Sand region cultivated an evil cultivation method? Perhaps it was really possible. Moreover, it was said that the Black Sand region itself was a power that originated from an evil force, but it gradually turned white later. Back then, the other party needed to use a supreme treasure that surpassed the immortal realm to kill you. It can be seen how extraordinary you were back then. I believe your storage ring must have the top inheritance, right? There might even be an inheritance that surpasses the immortal sutra. The patriarch of the Weak Water region looked at the expert's storage ring with greedy eyes, as if he could not wait to snatch it immediately. Everyone was shocked. From the words of these two true immortal experts, everyone could roughly guess the other party's origin. The other party's origin was really too extraordinary. Could it be that this was an existence that surpassed the immortal realm? A transcendent immortal was a saint. If it surpassed the immortal realm, it would be too heaven-defying. However, after countless years, his combat strength was naturally no longer the same as before. This gave the three true immortal experts hope to kill him. One could imagine what kind of terrifying treasures and terrifying inheritances there were in the storage ring of an expert that surpassed the immortal realm. As for the demonic saber, there was no need to talk about it. The demonic saber that surpassed the immortal realm was simply attractive to cultivators. You're still far from being able to kill me, the expert said with an indifferent expression. The three true immortal experts immediately sneered. You actually dare to boast shamelessly with such heavy injuries. Truly laughable to the extreme. I'll take your life later. The old ancestor of the Ba Ji Palace sneered. He was severely injured, and the hatred in his heart was monstrous. Naturally, he wanted to flaunt his tongue. Let's do it. Let's get this over and done with quickly, lest anything unexpected happens. The great ancestor of the Black Sand region said sinisterly he could not wait to kill this expert who had just been resurrected. Kill. The three true immortals growled and launched their attacks on the expert. The old ancestor of the 8 Extreme Palace wielded a war spear and swept through the army. He was one with the spear, and his battle prowess was heaven-defying. At the same time, the other 2 experts also showed their terrifying fighting strength. The patriarch of the water realm held a giant axe, which seemed to be able to split the sky and earth. The patriarch of the Black Sand region wielded a meteor butterfly knife. The meteor butterfly knife was unfathomable and could release extremely terrifying power. The 3 true immortals cooperated with each other quite well. They split into 3 different directions and attacked the expert. In the face of the siege of 3 true immortals, the expert's expression was indifferent. The demonic blade in his hand suddenly flew in front of him. He gently tapped the demonic blade. Then, the demonic blade trembled slightly in the void. A dense number of blade shadows emerged. Every saber shadow contained boundless killing intent. Demonic blade of 10 directions. The expert's voice was indifferent. As soon as he finished speaking, the densely packed saber shadows quickly slashed out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the saber shadows rapidly flew toward the 3 true immortals. The blade shadows were very strange. They were constantly dividing. 1 became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 6, 6 became 8. As a result, the saber images became more and more numerous, becoming more and more frightening. Anyone who sensed the terrifying power of these saber images would be struck dumb with shock. These saber images were just too powerful, to the point where they were simply unheard of. Endless saber shadows instantly engulfed the 3 true immortal experts. The expressions of the 3 true immortals changed abruptly. They did not expect the newly resurrected expert's combat strength to be so terrifying. He did not seem to be so tyrannical just now, but how long had it been? It was unbelievable that his combat strength had become so terrifying. Clearly, his combat strength was rapidly recovering during this period of time. This was extremely terrifying because it had not been long since his combat strength had recovered to such an extent. If more time passed, to what extent would his combat strength recover? By then, it would probably be extremely heaven-defying, right? Thinking of this, the 3 true immortals' expressions could not help but darken slightly. They held powerful weapons in their hands to block the densely packed blade shadows. Even as powerful as they were, it was still quite difficult for them to block. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show were extremely shocked. Those cultivators simply couldn't believe their eyes. Even the 3 true immortal experts were being suppressed. The cultivator, who had just been resurrected, was really too powerful. Perhaps he really was an existence that surpassed immortals in the past. Although he has been resurrected and his combat strength has fallen greatly, his recovery speed is extremely fast. If it was his previous combat strength, the 3 true immortals might still be able to kill him. But now, there's no hope. A cultivator said. Many people nodded in agreement with the cultivator's words. It was indeed as the cultivator had said. It was extremely unrealistic for the 3 true immortals to kill the cultivator, who had just been resurrected not long ago. In the end, although they had neutralized the expert's attack, they were all sent flying one by one. The 3 true immortals spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Many wounds appeared on their bodies, and they were simply covered in blood. They were high and mighty true immortals. When had they ever suffered such a strong attack? But at this moment, the 3 true immortals were only filled with horror and fear, because the other party was simply too powerful. The 3 true immortals did not dare to stay, and quickly fled in 3 different directions. They wanted to escape in different directions. If the expert chased after them, it seemed that he could only chase after one of them. However, the expert did not chase after the 3 true immortals. He kept looking down at the demonic blade in his hand, and from time to time, he would frown as if he was thinking about something. Seeing that the expert did not chase after the 3 true immortals, Lin Feng was a little disappointed. However, he could not help but ponder. Who exactly was this mysterious expert? Chapter 4654. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who was puzzled. Many others were probably puzzled as well. They didn't know how that expert did it. He was heaven-defying, but the dead couldn't be revived. This was the law of heaven and earth. However, this expert came back from the dead. Everything was too strange. It was hard to believe. At this moment, that expert raised his head. He kept his demonic blade and glanced at Lin Feng. Then he retracted his gaze. In the next moment, His body disappeared without a trace. Oh my God! This expert is heaven-defying to an unimaginable degree. The three true immortals really kicked an iron plate this time. The three true immortals are really unlucky. They definitely didn't expect this expert to be so terrifying. Yeah, actually, with the three true immortals' combined strength, there really isn't anyone who can make them afraid. However, that expert is obviously stronger than they imagined. The three true immortals should be glad that the expert didn't chase after them. Otherwise, the three true immortals would be dead for sure. Many of the cultivators there began discussing the matter. Many of them had looks of schadenfreude on their faces. Three true immortals had nearly died. This made them feel that it was a pity. It was not easy for cultivators to fight for a chance to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. Obviously, the powerful cultivators had a higher chance of surviving to the next epoch. If the three true immortals were dead, the pressure on them would be reduced by a lot. When the apocalyptic world arrived, those top experts could easily cause other cultivators to panic. If those top experts had a good character, then it was fine. However, if they didn't, then when the apocalypse really arrived, they would wantonly slaughter cultivators to cultivate demonic arts and increase their cultivation. Many cultivators felt that the three true immortals were such people. Therefore, they couldn't wait for the three true immortals to be killed. Unfortunately, they didn't get to see this happen. Let's go. Lin Feng looked at Ning Xianwu and said he didn't want to stay here any longer. Although he still hadn't found the whereabouts of the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. However, Lin Feng didn't plan to continue searching. This was because he felt that perhaps the mysterious expert's resurrection had something to do with the Holy Spirit. Of course, this was only Lin Feng's guess. He was unable to confirm whether his guess was correct. Then, he thought of the fact that the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe was able to kill the stone crocodile's life force without making a sound. This was enough to show how terrifying the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was. In the face of such a scary Holy Spirit, Lin Feng felt it was best not to continue looking for that guy. If he did find that guy, who knew what terrible things would happen? The others wanted to find him. Let the others continue to search. Aren't we going to continue looking for the Holy Spirit? Ning Xianwu asked. I have never looked for the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. I have always respected the Stone Clan, especially the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. Lin Feng said, of course, his words were meant for the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. What he meant was, brother, I'm leaving now. In fact, I respect you a lot. I don't want you to come out. If you come out in the future, don't come looking for me. Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu left the stone workshop and returned to their residence. Ning Xianwu went into seclusion because she needed to concoct the insect-repelling pill. This required a certain amount of time. Apart from that, Ning Xianwu also needed to refine the Buddha resin. The Buddha resin could be used directly. However, only a portion of its power could be unleashed. Only by refining it properly could the Buddha resin's power be fully unleashed. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, it was nighttime. Lin Feng was resting. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. He realized that his room had become extremely dark. This was an abnormal kind of darkness. If it was just the sky turning dark, Lin Feng's vision would be extremely good in the dark. Powerful cultivators would have exceptional night vision. However, this time, the situation was different. Lin Feng knew that something terrifying must have happened. Could it be Lin Feng thought of a possibility? Why are you hiding in the dark? Why are you so shameful? Lin Feng asked. Do you know who I am? A cold voice sounded from the darkness. Of course I know who you are. Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. Am I right? Lin Feng asked. Hee hee. The Holy Spirit laughed coldly and said, "You are indeed a smart person." "Sometimes I think so too," Lin Feng replied. "Smart people don't live long." The Holy Spirit said, "Does that mean you want to kill me?" Lin Feng asked. "If you had continued your search today, you could have found me in the stone workshop. However, you didn't do so." The Holy Spirit did not answer Lin Feng's question. Instead, it continued to speak. "I don't want to fall out with you," Lin Feng said. "No, it's because you know that even if you find me, you won't be able to suppress me. You are too confident." Lin Feng said, "I am confident because I am powerful." The Holy Spirit said. Lin Feng said, "So, what is your purpose here?" "To kill you. I will not allow someone like you, who is proficient in stone identification, to continue living. You are a huge threat to the Stone Clan that has yet to be born." The Holy Spirit's voice was cold. As soon as it finished speaking, Lin Feng felt a terrifying power from the darkness enveloping his body. The situation was very dangerous. However, at that moment, an ancient Buddha skeleton appeared above Lin Feng. "Namo Amit Ba." The ancient Buddha skeleton opened its mouth and spoke in a Buddhist voice. Boundless Buddhist light gushed out and dispelled the darkness. The Holy Spirit's attack was also neutralized. At that moment, Lin Feng saw the Holy Spirit. It had yet to be born and was sealed in an immortal source stone that was taller than a person. The immortal source stone looked very ordinary. When he carefully sensed it, he could not sense any special aura from it. The Holy Spirit was very cunning. It hid in such an ordinary immortal source stone and isolated all auras. It was very difficult for others to discover it. You are a Dark Stone Clan Holy Spirit, so you are destined to be restrained by me," Lin Feng said indifferently. Then he slapped the Holy Spirit with his palm. The ancient Buddha skeleton did the same thing as Lin Feng. A Buddha character appeared in the palm of the ancient Buddha skeleton. The Buddha character was dazzling and contained endless Buddhist power. Chapter 46:55. "Brat, do you really think that you can suppress me with the skeleton of an old monk? What a joke. Today, I'll let you know how powerful I am." The Holy Spirit's voice came from the immortal source stone. Then the immortal source stone slammed into the ancient Buddha skeleton. When the immortal source stone and the ancient Buddha skeleton's attack collided, the ancient Buddha skeleton's attack was instantly broken. Then the immortal source stone rushed to the ancient Buddha skeleton, wanting to smash it into pieces. One had to admit that the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was really terrifying. Its methods were heaven-defying. It was restrained by the ancient Buddha skeleton, but it was able to dominate the battle. This was enough to show how powerful the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan was. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan's cultivation had definitely reached an unfathomable level. Otherwise, it would not be able to display such heaven-defying battle strength. Just as the immortal source stone was about to hit the ancient Buddha skeleton, Lin Feng used the powerful spatial freeze divine ability. Suddenly, the void in front of him seemed to have stopped. Spatial freeze was a top-tier divine ability recorded in the Tao of space. This divine ability was extremely heaven-defying. Once it was used, it could instantly freeze the surrounding void, just like what was happening right now. At this moment, the void was frozen. The immortal source stone was frozen in the void. The ancient Buddha attacked again. The ancient Buddha stretched out its right hand. Then, the ancient Buddha's right hand pointed at the immortal source stone. The ancient Buddha's right hand pointed at the immortal source stone. Endless threads of Buddha's light, condensed from karmic power, suddenly gushed out from the ancient Buddha's finger. Then, the threads of Buddha's light and karmic power wrapped around the immortal source stone. This was the sealing power condensed from Buddha's karmic power. It was extremely powerful. The immortal source stone was completely sealed. Then Lin Feng used the 8 divine seals. He planned to add another powerful seal to it, because Lin Feng felt that one seal was not enough. Lines of formation runes intertwined in the void. Finally, all the runes were imprinted on the immortal source stone. Every seal was vibrating with terrifying energy waves. After the runes connected together, they formed a powerful sealing array. The 8 spirit sealing seals was now many times more powerful than before. "Brat, how dare you seal me? You're delusional." The Holy Spirit of the Rock clan roared furiously. This guy's temper was clearly extremely irritable. He kept struggling. Strands of black gas escaped from the immortal source stone, and those strands of black gas were constantly nibbling away at the seal placed on the immortal source stone by Lin Feng and the ancient Buddha skeleton. The seal that Lin Feng and the ancient Buddha skeleton had placed on the immortal origin stone was quickly cracking. When he saw this scene, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed an extremely ugly expression. 2 layers of seals seemed to be unable to completely seal the immortal origin stone. The main reason was that the Holy Spirit of the Rock clan inside the immortal origin stone was too terrifying. This dark, attributed Holy Spirit of the Rock clan was proficient in all kinds of dark attributed divine abilities. Lin Feng knew that he had to find a way to suppress it. Otherwise, his family's sealing array and the ancient Buddha skeleton's sealing array would be quickly nibbled away by the dark energy. "That's right. I can use the power of light." A light bulb flashed in Lin Feng's mind. Then his face lit up. Light restrained darkness. If he used the power of light to suppress the power of darkness, it might have a miraculous effect. After thinking about this, Lin Feng no longer hesitated. "O mighty Tao of light, please descend with the power of light. Let me dispel all the darkness in this world." Lin Feng chanted the incantation for the Great Light technique. As one of the 3,000 Great Tao, the Great Light technique was the core of the Tao of Light. It was the nemesis of all darkness. After Lin Feng chanted the incantation, suddenly a dazzling light illuminated the world. The power of light began to pour into the immortal source stone. After the power of light and the power of darkness collided, suddenly the 2 powers emitted a sizzling sound. Not long after, the 2 powers began to spontaneously combust. The Great Light technique. You really know a lot of divine powers. I have to say that your methods are very terrifying. However, your cultivation level is insufficient. You can't seal me. The Holy Spirit's voice was extremely cold. Bang, bang, bang. In the next moment, the sound of violent collisions came from the immortal source stone. The Holy Spirit seemed to be attacking the immortal source stone from the inside. It seemed that the Holy Spirit of the stone tribe wanted to come out. "What? You want to come out? Your combat strength should have reached the true immortal realm, right? However, you are now inside the immortal source stone and are suppressed by it. You can't use your combat strength at all. You think I will let you out? Today, I will show you what I can do." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng unleashed another powerful divine ability. Lin Feng had used the Great Oppressive Technique, one of the 3,000 Great Tao skills, and when he used it, he was shocked. When the divine ability was unleashed, the word suppress appeared in the void. The word suppress was imprinted on the immortal source stone. Now, the immortal source stone had 3 seals on it: the ancient Buddha seal, the 8 divine seals, the Great Suppression Technique. The combined power of these 3 seals was extremely terrifying. In addition, Lin Feng's Great Light technique restrained the dark energy escaping from the immortal source stone. Therefore, the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe was once again suppressed by Lin Feng. Although it wanted to destroy the immortal Source Stone from the inside and come out, its body was sealed by the immortal Source Stone. Its body was sealed inside the immortal Source Stone, and its strength was suppressed too much. Therefore, it was too difficult to break the seal of the immortal Source Stone. It seems that you won't be able to destroy the seal of the immortal Source Stone in a short time. Lin Feng said. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe said in a gloomy voice, "Kid, I underestimated you. You are indeed a capable person. As the saying goes, it is better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. Why don't we cooperate?" "Cooperate? Why should I cooperate with you? Moreover, do you think that I can trust you?" Lin Feng said indifferently. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe said, "You know very well that people like me are easier to trust." Lin Feng could not help but raise his eyebrows slightly. He did not respond to the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe's words. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe continued, "I can see that you are definitely not an ordinary person. However, you should have a lot of enemies. Anyone who wants to rise against the trend will definitely have to go through many difficulties. They will even be suppressed and ostracized by many powerful forces. This is very normal." Chapter 46:56. It had to be said that the Holy Spirit's words had struck a chord with Lin Feng's heart. The Sinner Blood Alliance seemed to have gained a firm foothold, but Lin Feng knew that compared to the other powerful factions, their foundation was still much weaker. Moreover, the Sinner Blood Alliance was still a thorn in the side of the Celestial Emperor. If the Celestial Emperor personally led the Heavenly Court's many true immortals and the Heavenly Court's army to attack the Sinner Blood Alliance, how could the Sinner Blood Alliance resist? Therefore, Lin Feng was also very clear that the Sinner Blood Alliance needed to grow stronger. They also needed powerful allies. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Race was very terrifying. This existence was a true immortal level expert, and it would not be long before it came into being. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Race was the king of the Stone Race. Once it came into being, it would definitely be able to rally the masses. When the time came, many Stone Race beings would come to join it. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Race would definitely be able to establish a powerful faction in a short period of time. Therefore, allying with the Holy Spirit of the Stone Race was indeed a very good choice. Of course, there was another thing that Lin Feng cared about. Although the Holy Spirit of the Stone Race had been sealed by him, it was still extremely difficult to kill it. For now, Lin Feng had not thought of a way to kill the Holy Spirit of the Stone Race. As time passed, if he was unable to kill the Holy Spirit of the Stone Race, once the Holy Spirit of the Stone Race broke out of the immortal Origin Stone, he would have another powerful enemy. Rather than having another powerful enemy, it was better to have another ally. Lin Feng said, "I can agree to allying with you. However, how can I trust you?" "That's easy. We can form a life and death alliance. When the time comes, no one will be able to go against this agreement. If anyone goes against the agreement, they will die without a grave." The Holy Spirit of the Stone Race said, "Life and death alliance? What kind of agreement is that?" Lin Feng asked, puzzled. The Holy Spirit of the Stone Race said, "This is a contract passed down in the Stone Race. It's like some people selling their souls to demons. These people's strength will greatly increase. What they signed was an agreement to sell their souls for power. The Life and Death Alliance I'm talking about is a guarantee with our lives. If we sign this Life and Death Alliance, we'll support each other. No matter what happens in the future, we'll still be the most trustworthy allies. If we dare to betray each other, the power of the oath will instantly destroy the soul of the betrayer. At that time, the betrayer will die immediately. Good. Then let's sign a Life and Death Alliance." Lin Feng nodded. This agreement was fair to both parties. Moreover, Lin Feng was a person who would never betray any of his friends. Therefore, when the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan told him that, Lin Feng immediately agreed. Hearing Lin Feng's agreement, the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe began to swear an oath. I, the Stone Emperor, swear on my life that I am willing to sign a life and death alliance with Lin Feng. From now on, we'll be the closest allies. I'll be loyal to my allies. If there comes a day when I violate this life and death alliance, I'll be struck by lightning. My body and soul will be destroyed, and I'll die a horrible death. After swearing the oath, the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe said, "Swear the same oath as I said, apart from the names. Everything else is the same. Don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, the life and death alliance won't take effect." Okay. Lin Feng nodded and swore an oath. Lin Feng, swear on my life that I am willing to sign a life and death alliance with the Stone Emperor. From now on, we'll be the closest allies. I'll be loyal to my allies. If there comes a day when I violate this life and death alliance, I'll be struck by lightning. My body and soul will be destroyed, and I'll die a horrible death. Lin Feng swore the same oath. Lin Feng sensed a talisman of oath appear in his third eye. That oath rune was the oath rune formed by the Life and Death Alliance. That oath rune was very powerful, mysterious, complex, and strange. It was indeed worthy of being an oath passed down by the Stone Tribe. Now that we've formed an alliance, can you remove the seal on my body? The Stone Tribe Holy Spirit said. No problem. Lin Feng nodded. He first stored the ancient Buddha skeleton in the Chonlu Devil Palace. Then Lin Feng removed the 3 seals. I liked the feeling of freedom. The immortal source stone flew into the air. Then the Stone Tribe Holy Spirit's voice came out from the immortal source stone. You're free now. Lin Feng said, No, I'm not free now. I'm still trapped inside the immortal source stone. You attack the immortal source stone from the outside. I'll attack it from the inside. We'll work together to break this immortal source stone. The Stone Tribe Holy Spirit said, Is it so difficult to break this immortal source stone? I'll just use the stone-cutting blade to cut it open. Lin Feng said. The Stone Tribe Holy Spirit said, Although this immortal source stone looks very ordinary from the outside, it's not ordinary at all. It's an immortal source stone condensed from an extremely rare material. The stone-cutting blade can't cut it open at all. In fact, don't talk about cutting it open. The stone-cutting blade can't even leave a mark on it. Hearing this, Lin Feng could not help but be shocked. No wonder this guy failed to destroy the immortal source stone from the inside. Lin Feng originally thought that it was because the Stone Tribe Holy Spirit was trapped inside the immortal source stone and could not release all of its power. Secondly, the 3 seals on the immortal source stone were too powerful. Therefore, the Stone Tribe Holy Spirit was unable to break out of the immortal source stone. But now, it seems that the most fundamental reason was that the immortal source stone itself was too extraordinary. Therefore, it was very difficult to break this immortal source stone. However, when he thought about how this immortal source stone was used to seal the Stone Tribe Holy Spirit, everything made sense. Lin Feng felt that the Stone Tribe Holy Spirit was very likely the royal family of the Stone Tribe. It was definitely an extremely heaven-defying existence. Lin Feng took out the Black Dragon sword and said, Then let's work together to destroy this immortal source stone. As his voice fell, he slashed at the immortal source stone. The Stone Tribe Holy Spirit attacked from the inside of the immortal source stone, trying to destroy it. Clang! When Lin Feng's sword slashed at the immortal source stone, the immortal source stone actually rebounded with an extremely terrifying power that sent Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng's hands were numb from the impact, and the black dragon sword almost slipped out of his hands. Chapter 46:57. This stone is actually so hard. Moreover, it can release such a powerful shockwave. Lin Feng's face is filled with shock. That sword attack just now was so tyrannical, yet it was unable to break the stone. If it can't break the stone, then so be it. Lin Feng was actually sent flying. From this, one can see how heaven-defying this stone is. Now you know how hard this stone is, right? Stone Clan Holy Spirit said, and it is indeed very terrifying. Lin Feng nodded. Then he said, why did you use this stone to seal yourself in the past? Can't you find another stone to seal yourself in? Originally, Lin Feng thought that Stone Clan Holy Spirit was a creature born from immortal source stones. Lin Feng was not the only one who thought so. Many people thought so too. However, after talking with Stone Clan Holy Spirit, Lin Feng found out that Stone Clan Holy Spirit was not a creature born from immortal source stones. Stone Clan Holy Spirit was born long ago and was later sealed in immortal source stones. Stone Clan Holy Spirit said, I also did not want to use this stone to seal myself. In fact, it was not me who sealed myself. Did someone seal you inside the immortal origin stone? Lin Feng asked in astonishment. That's right. Stone Clan Holy Spirit nodded. However, it did not continue to talk about this matter. Clearly, it did not want to talk about this topic. Lin Feng said, I thought of a method. Perhaps we can try it. What method? Stone Clan Holy Spirit asked. Use heavenly fire to melt the immortal source stone. Lin Feng said. Stone Clan Holy Spirit rolled its eyes and said, Are you trying to burn me to death? With your cultivation, at most you will suffer a bit. You won't be roasted to death with the immortal source stone in between. Lin Feng said. Stone Clan's Holy Spirit said, No matter how powerful the heavenly flame is, the material of this immortal source stone is no small matter. I'm afraid the heavenly flame will not be able to melt this immortal source stone. Lin Feng smiled and said, The internal structure of anything that is burned at high temperature will change. It may become softer or harder, but no matter if it is softer or harder, because its internal structure has been damaged, this is often the time when it is most vulnerable and the time when it is most easily destroyed. The same goes for the immortal source stone. Even if the immortal source stone cannot be melted under the high temperature of the heavenly fire, the internal structure of the immortal source stone will definitely be destroyed. At that time, destroying the immortal source stone will be much easier. Why do I feel like I'm cooking beggar's chicken? I won't get roasted inside the immortal source stone, right? The Holy Spirit said in a depressed tone. Make beggar's chicken? That's a good metaphor. But the beggar's chicken will be roasted in the end, but you won't. If you can't stand it, you can call it out. Don't be embarrassed. I won't spread it out. Lin Feng said, I feel like you're deliberately messing with me. The Holy Spirit said in a suspicious tone. I'm innocent. How could I deliberately mess with you? I'm your best friend. Lin Feng said. Then let's try it. I've had enough of staying here. The Holy Spirit said. Lin Feng nodded. Then he took out the 7 heavenly fires, the purple earthcore fire, the black fire, the netherworld fire, the golden dragon divine fire, the black fire, the azure dragon true fire, and the snow spirit bone fire flew out and wrapped around the immortal source stone. The 7 heavenly fires began to burn the immortal source stone repeatedly. You actually have 7 heavenly fires. When the Holy Spirit saw Lin Feng take out 7 heavenly fires, it was extremely shocked. It could not even believe its eyes. Heavenly fires were extremely precious, and the number of heavenly fires was very small. At the beginning of the era, only 72 heavenly fires had been condensed. After a long time, many heavenly fires had disappeared. The number of heavenly fires that could survive until now could be counted with one's fingers. But Lin Feng had managed to control 7 celestial fires on his own. This kind of thing was indeed too unbelievable. It was no wonder that the Holy Spirit was so shocked. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Don't be so surprised. It's just 7 heavenly fires. It's nothing." "Damn it. Can you stop acting cool in front of me?" the Holy Spirit said angrily. Lin Feng smiled and did not say anything else. He focused on controlling the 7 heavenly fires to burn the immortal source stone. Under the burning of the 7 heavenly fires, the temperature of the immortal source stone rose very quickly. After being repeatedly burned at an extremely high temperature, the immortal source stone's texture became even harder. During the entire process, the Holy Spirit did not even make a sound. It seemed that the Holy Spirit cared a lot about its reputation. It endured and did not make a sound. "Try and see if you can destroy the immortal source stone," the Holy Spirit shouted. It seemed that the Holy Spirit could not hold on any longer. "No problem. You do it inside, I'll do it outside. We'll do our best to destroy the immortal source stone." Lin Feng said. "Okay," replied the Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan. Lin Feng put the 7 celestial fires away. Then he took out the black dragon sword. He held the black dragon sword and slashed at the immortal source stone. Clang! It was accompanied by the sound of metal clashing. After the black dragon sword slashed at the immortal source stone, stone fragments flew everywhere. Just as Lin Feng had guessed, after the immortal source stone's internal structure was destroyed, its defensive power was not as good as before. At this time, the immortal source stone emitted a clanging sound, like the sound of iron being forged. The Holy Spirit attacked the immortal source stone from the inside, trying to destroy it. Lin Feng slashed at the immortal source stone again and again. Inside the immortal origin stone, the Holy Spirit of the Stone Tribe continued to bombard the immortal origin stone. Under the continuous attacks from both sides, cracks began to appear on the immortal origin stone. After seeing those cracks, Lin Feng's face showed a trace of joy. It seems that the immortal source stone is about to be destroyed. Soon, the inside is already filled with cracks. I'm finally going to come out. The Stone Emperor, will finally see the light of day again. Ha ha ha! The Holy Spirit of the Stone Clan laughed like a madman. "Why are you so happy?" Lin Feng said speechlessly. The Holy Spirit said, "You don't understand what it's like to be sealed inside the immortal source stone for so long. I don't want to understand what it's like." Lin Feng said with a faint smile. He did not want to be sealed inside the immortal source stone. Lin Feng slashed at the immortal source stone dozens of times. The Holy Spirit's attacks were also very tyrannical. Both sides worked together. Finally, Chapter 46:58. Crack! Crack! The immortal source stone cracked faster and faster. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent explosion, a huge explosion rang out. The immortal source stone exploded into pieces. Then a cultivator appeared in Lin Feng's sight. It was a very young cultivator with golden hair and a handsome face. "Ha ha ha ha! The air outside is so good. I, Stone King, am destined to belong to the outside world. I like the feeling of freedom. From now on, no one will be able to restrict my freedom," the Stone Race Saint Spirit shouted excitedly. This guy's name was Stone Emperor. Everyone knew what his name meant. It meant that he was the Stone Emperor. The fact that he dared to give himself such a name showed how prideful he was. "Fortunately, I've sealed the room with restrictions. Otherwise, if you don't sleep and scream in the middle of the night, those people who woke you up would drown you with their saliva." Lin Feng was speechless. Cough, cough. I got a little carried away, Stone King said with a grin. By the way, do you know who the mysterious expert who came back to life was? Lin Feng asked. That guy? I'm not too sure. However, the demonic saber that pierced his heart was the Suncutter demonic saber. It reminded me of a legend. Stone King said with narrowed eyes. Legend? What legend? Lin Feng asked curiously. Stone King said, the legend is about the Suncutter demonic saber. Legend has it that the Suncutter demonic saber was a supreme treasure forged by the Suncutter Demon Emperor. The Suncutter Demon Emperor was an extremely terrifying existence. He once competed with the third demon lord for the position of Demon Lord. It was said that both of them had the chance to become the third Demon Lord, but their chances were very balanced. Neither of them gave way to the other, so they decided to have a duel to determine the victor. The victor would be crowned the third Demon Lord. The duel was so intense that the sun and moon lost their light. In the end, the Suncutter Demon Emperor lost by half a move. Therefore, he failed to be crowned the third Demon Lord. Lin Feng was shocked to hear that. The Suncutter Demon Emperor was so terrifying, it was truly inconceivable. No wonder the demonic Sunslayer saber has already transcended immortality. The demonic Sunslayer Emperor has probably transcended immortality as well, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Yes, he has surpassed immortal. His battle prowess was so strong. It's simply unimaginable. The Stone Emperor nodded and said, I heard that the Sunslaying Demon Emperor was refining his Sunslaying Demon Saber during the war. At that time, his Sunslaying Demon Saber had not been refined successfully, but his competitor had refined his natal magic weapon to the level beyond the immortal realm. If the Sunslaying Demon Emperor had refined his Sunslaying Demon Saber to the level beyond the immortal weapon before the war, the result of that war would have been completely different from the previous one. Lin Feng said, magic treasures are too important for practitioners. Many times, a practitioner's magic treasures may even change the situation of the battle. It seems that the Sun-slaying Demon Emperor did not lose in terms of cultivation, but in terms of magic treasures. The Stone Emperor said, that's right. Sometimes magic treasures play a great role in a great battle. The defeat of the Sun-slaying Demon Emperor was actually foreshadowed. The Sun-slaying Demon saber pierced that cultivator's chest. Was the Suncutter Demon Emperor the one who killed that cultivator? Lin Feng frowned when he thought of the cultivator who had come back to life. Perhaps that cultivator was really killed by the Suncutter Demon Emperor. Otherwise, why would the Sun-slaying Demon saber be pierced through his chest? This kind of thing seemed to be rather easy to guess. Why do I feel that he wasn't killed by the Suncutter Demon Emperor? The Stone Emperor said. Oh, why do you say that? Lin Feng asked in surprise. Intuition, the Stone Emperor said. Lin Feng stroked his chin and asked, what happened to the Suncutter Demon Emperor in the end? The Stone Emperor said, I'm not sure. However, there are rumors that the Suncutter Demon Emperor encountered a problem in his cultivation. As a result, he suffered a calamity and eventually died. However, I don't think this rumor is reliable. After all, how could someone as powerful as the Suncutter Demon Emperor die so easily? Lin Feng frowned and said, do you think that the resurrected cultivator could be the Suncutter Demon Emperor? That's impossible, right? Would the Suncutter Demon Emperor stab himself with his life-bound magic treasure that he had refined his entire life? The Stone Emperor asked. Lin Feng said, what if he didn't stab himself? Are you saying that someone pierced the Sun-slaying Demon Emperor's chest with the Sun-slaying Demon Blade? The Stone Emperor frowned and said, do you think that's possible? Who could snatch the Suncutter Demon Saber from the Suncutter Demon Emperor? Lin Feng said. More importantly, even if the Suncutter demon saber was stolen, it might not be possible to use it, the Stone Emperor said. Therefore, your guess should be nonsense, said Lin Feng. The reason why I think that strong cultivator is the sun-slaying demon emperor is because I have proof. What reasons? The Stone Emperor asked. Lin Feng said, the Suncutter demon saber has a perfect compatibility with the Suncutter demon emperor. That's why he was able to unleash the Suncutter demon saber's power. The Stone Emperor fell silent after hearing Lin Feng's explanation. He said, perhaps it's because the sun-slaying demonic saber has been in his body for too long. During this long period of time, the sun-slaying demonic saber has absorbed a lot of his blood and become familiar with his body's aura. That's why he can activate the sun-slaying demonic saber's power. Lin Feng said, that's possible. The two did not continue discussing the Suncutter demon saber's identity. The Stone Emperor said, after the stone workshop, I'm sure many people want to get rid of you. For example, Xingyu and Mingyu. Lin Feng said, Mingyu is a scheming person. I don't think he'll make a move. Xing, you will most likely make a move against me. Of course, there are also the people from the Baji Palace. They will most likely make a move against me. The Stone Emperor asked, do you need my help? We can work together to get rid of them. Lin Feng said, no need. If I can't even deal with these people, then I'm useless. The Stone Emperor smiled and said, it's getting late. You should rest early. I want to lie on the bed and have a good sleep. I've even forgotten what it feels like to lie on a bed. As soon as he finished speaking, the Stone Emperor lay on Lin Feng's bed. Lin Feng said speechlessly, this is my bed. But it's my bed now. Isn't there a beauty here? Why don't you sleep with her? Chapter 46:59. However, he had been busy with the funeral for the past few days. He still had to work hard to update. So much. It was really tiring. He really couldn't write the 8th update today. He could only write it at 7 today. Tomorrow at 8. Old Mantu wanted to sleep. He was too tired, too tired. Chapter 46:60. Shi Zhong Huang couldn't say anything good, so Lin Feng didn't bother arguing with him. After that, Stone Emperor stayed at Lin Feng's place, refusing to leave. Ning Xianwu, on the other hand, was refining the insect repellent pill. As for young Master Xingyu and the 8 Extreme Palace, they did not make a move against Lin Feng. They probably did not want to make a move within Black Sand City. That would make them too big of a target. As for the 3 true immortal experts that had been injured by the resurrected expert, they did not appear again. They were probably too embarrassed to show themselves in Black Sand City. At their level, which one of them did not care about their reputation. However, the impact of that battle was simply too great for them. The 3 of them had lost all their dignity. Therefore, they naturally did not appear in front of others. Even if they were still in Black Sand City, they would not show themselves easily. However, Lin Feng had a feeling that they had left Black Sand City. Perhaps they had gone to Black Sand Devil Prison. The changes in Black Sand Devil Prison were still ongoing. Moreover, the fluctuations were getting stronger and stronger. Lin Feng noticed that Stone Emperor would occasionally look in the direction of Black Sand Devil Prison. He seemed to be thinking about something. It was unknown what this guy was thinking. Perhaps he knew something about Black Sand Devil Prison. Do you know anything about Black Sand Devil Prison? Lin Feng asked. The Stone Emperor said, this place is very scary. You can't just look at this place as a place of death. This place is between a place of death and a forbidden zone of life. It has some of the characteristics of a place of death and a forbidden zone of life. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Have you entered a forbidden zone of life before? Stone Emperor smiled and said, of course. If I haven't, I wouldn't dare to say that I have. Which forbidden zone have you been to? Lin Feng asked curiously. Forbidden zones of life were extremely rare. It was difficult to find a true forbidden zone of life in many great worlds. One might have to enter the 3 supreme realms or the wasteland to find one. Splinter Soul Mountain, the forbidden zone of life in the wasteland. It's a truly terrifying place. Who knows how many experts have their souls severed there? The Stone Emperor sighed. The Stone Emperor of the past was definitely extraordinary. Lin Feng even guessed that the Stone Emperor of the past was much more powerful than he was now. However, after being sealed for so many years, his cultivation had dropped a lot. After all, divine stones and immortal origin stones were different. Some top-grade divine stones sealed their bodies, so their cultivation might not drop, but immortal origin stones sealed their bodies, so their cultivation would drop. Why does everyone still want to enter the Forbidden Zone when it's so dangerous? Lin Feng asked. There are naturally many reasons, but in the final analysis, they all want to obtain something from the Life Forbidden Zone. For example, some people need some rare immortal medicine, which is not available in the outside world, so they can only take the risk and enter the Life Forbidden Zone. Some people want to obtain a method to defy the heavens and change their fate, but it is already difficult to find such a method in the outside world, so they can only enter the Life Forbidden Zone and take a gamble. Any cultivator who enters the dead mire must have a reason for doing so. Otherwise, who would enter that place? To put it bluntly, if you enter the land of death, you might be recognized by the land of death and become one of its creatures. Then, you can hide in the land of death. That way, the mastermind won't be able to do anything to you. But what about the land of death? Creatures from the outside world can't hide in that place. Once they enter, it'll be too difficult for them to escape. The Stone Emperor said. Lin Feng asked curiously, "Why did you enter the Life Forbidden Zone in the past?" "Me?" The Stone Emperor smiled faintly and said, "I wanted to prove to others that I'm not inferior to anyone." Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. If the Stone Emperor's words were true, in that case, didn't that mean that something had happened to the Stone Emperor that made him feel sad in the past? Perhaps everyone had a period of time like that. 10 days later, Ning Xianwu came out of seclusion. She had finished refining the Buddha resin. Apart from that, she had also refined a cauldron of insect repellent pills. Lin Feng introduced Ning Xianwu and the Stone Emperor to each other. When she heard that the person in front of her was the Stone Clan's sacred spirit, she was shocked. Ning Xianwu was clearly very surprised. She never imagined that Lin Feng would become friends with the Stone Clan's sacred spirit. From the looks of it, they seemed to have been good friends for many years. Long legs, thin waist, pretty face, and a sweet little jacket. "Brother, your taste in women is pretty good. It's as good as mine back then," the Stone Emperor said with a wicked smile. After spending some time with the Stone Emperor, Lin Feng had a good understanding of his personality. The Stone Emperor was definitely a slut. His personality was that of a slut. That was why the Stone Emperor was capable of saying anything. Ning Xianwu blushed as she explained her relationship with Lin Feng. The Stone Emperor said, "There's no need to explain. Explaining is just covering things up. The more you explain, the worse it gets. Am I disturbing you? Do you want me to give you a room?" Hearing that, Ning Xianwu's face turned red. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. He really had the urge to send the Stone Emperor flying with a punch. In terms of slut attributes, the Stone Emperor was comparable to Du Zhu. It was just that he didn't know what Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign sage, and the 2 ghost emperors had gone out to do. Otherwise, he could let Du Zhu and the Stone Emperor compete in sluttiness. "Let's see who the Slut King was." Lin Feng said, "If you don't want to be thrown out, Then stop talking dirty." The Stone Emperor laughed. He didn't continue to tease Lin Feng and Ning Xianwu. He said, "I heard that you're refining insect repellent pills and Buddha resin. Give me a portion." These things were precious. Ning Xianwu naturally wouldn't give them to the Stone Emperor, just because he asked for them. Ning Xianwu looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded. Ning Xianwu took out 5 insect repellent pills and a dozen drops of refined Buddha resin and gave them to the Stone Emperor. The Stone Emperor said sourly, "Little girl, as an experienced person, I have to remind you, as a woman, don't let a man take charge of everything. You haven't even consummated your marriage with this brat, and you're already doing things according to his mood. If you really become this brat's woman in the future, you'll become a slave." Ning Xianwu blushed at the Stone Emperor's words. She didn't know how to reply. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Lin Feng looked at the Stone Emperor speechlessly and said, "Are you a woman? You're just a rough man, and you still have the nerve to say that you're experienced?